Tua Tagovailoa has made progress in concussion protocol. However, he will not play against the Patriots Sunday. Teddy Bridgewater starts in Tua's place. The Eagles continue to contemplate whether quarterback Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew starts against the Saints. Hurts, though, officially listed as doubtful. Ravens expected to start QB Tyler Huntley in place of the injured Lamar Jackson. While saying a win's a win, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott acknowledging they've got some things to clean up. Prescott has 14 interceptions this season, tied for most in the NFL. With the playoffs looming, Dallas needs a fast fix for its turnover problem, notes ESPN's Herm Edwards.
When you watch them play sometimes, they're lackadaisical with the ball, and that's not a good thing. So they've got to do better there. The good thing about their defense, they take the ball away. So as much as they give it away, they take it away. They're plus 12 in the giveaway takeaway, but turnovers cannot happen.
Yankee slugger Aaron Judge voted Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year following an AL MVP season in which he hit a new AL record, 62 home runs.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
What's up, people? This is After Further Review, a Friday edition. I am not Matt Moscona. I am Mario Jerez filling in alongside Matt Musso, who's at the producer's desk right now, but he is my co-host effectively for today. Danny Cardenas is getting us on YouTube. Shout out, Danny. Usually don't get to hang out with him this late into the day, but I am excited to do that. And we have a lot of exciting guests coming up here on today's show. One more day coming for Moscona. Musso, how you doing, man?
Doing all right, Mario. 3 hours, and then we send everybody off into the new year.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to the new year. And as part of today's show, we'll recap kind of our favorite moments from 2022. There were a lot of them, whether you talk about the Saints, the Pelicans, LSU football for sure, and kind of nationally, just some moments we want to revisit. So looking forward to doing that. Also have 3 guests coming up here today, one for each hour. At 3:30, we'll talk to Carter Bryant, who we haven't talked to in a while, Musa. Pretty pumped to talk to him. Also, Antonio Daniels of Bally Sports will join us. He will be on the call tonight for Pelicans Sixers alongside Joel Myers. Always enjoy talking to AD. Big one for the Pelicans tonight against Philadelphia. And then another familiar face, at least in this studio. We'll talk to David Cobb of CBS Sports, who used to be a weekly guest on me and Musso's show. So we got a lot of good guests lined up for today, man. Looking forward to talking to all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, it's a jam-packed show. We'll guest each hour. And again, a lot of stuff going on, right? I mean, it's a big weekend when you consider LSU, Purdue, and the Citrus Bowl. I guess that's technically not the weekend, but on Monday. So this is the final time you'll hear us talk about that before the game. Pelicans Sixers, you brought it up, and the Pellies are back atop the Western Conference, facing a playoff caliber team, a team that if the playoffs started today in the East would be in. And the Saints, who, well, it hadn't been great to say the least, but somehow, some way are still alive for the NFL playoffs, however slim those margins might be. And they have a tall task in the best team in the NFL to deal with their 3rd straight trip in as many years to Philadelphia on Sunday.
Saints are at least on a winning streak, and they're still alive. 2 weeks left. 2 weeks all left in the season.
Their first winning streak of the season.
Wow, how about
that? First time they've won back-to-back games all year.
Well, we have some major injury news ahead of that game. We'll discuss that in a little bit, but wanted to start the show today with some LSU football news, Musso. LSU getting some reinforcements back next season at a critical position as safety Major Burns will return to the Tigers for his senior season. He announced that on social media yesterday. And Musso, he suffered a nasty injury early in the season, but when he came back, I thought he did a really good job. And with LSU losing all that it's losing in the secondary, Major Burns coming back, definitely a welcome sight for Tigers fans.
Yeah, this is a massive get. It's similar in magnitude, I think, to Greg Brooks earlier this week announcing that he was coming back for mainly all the same reasons. One, versatility in the secondary. Major Burns is a guy who has played safety and nickel this season for LSU. In fact, if you look at the 2 deep For the Citrus Bowl, he's listed as the starter at nickel. So you'll have him come back, versatility there. We'll get to kind of how the rest of the secondary shakes out for next year, but keeping it just on Major Burns right now. Versatility, number one. Leadership, number two, is massive in that regard. And communication, really huge as well. You heard that word tossed around a lot when it came to the LSU secondary this season and the LSU defense in general, but it always seems like it started with Major Burns. And that was way back in the spring and then in the fall. Anytime Brian Kelly mentioned Major Burns, he always mentioned how strong of a communicator he was and is. So to have those two aspects back, the versatility, the communication, that's massive for LSU secondary. And look, it's probably not overly surprising, Mario. I think that he's coming back. I think most people would have expected that when it was taking this long kind of for a decision, and he was participating in bowl practice and whatnot. That's kind of the telltale sign there. But nonetheless, massive get for LSU in the secondary heading into 2023.
Yeah, it's huge, especially when you consider, kind of what's ahead coming up next season with everybody leaving. Jay Ward still playing in the bowl game, but he will go pro. Mekhi Gardner now going to the NFL. He definitely played above my expectations this season. And we know Bernard Converse and Ward will be cornerbacks in this game coming up. But as far as next season, you got Sage Ryan, you got Major Burns, and you have Greg Brooks coming back, which some people forget, all as a nickelback option. So hopefully LSU has some depth there, especially when you compare this season coming up to where LSU was before this season.
Yeah, nickel's going to be the really interesting position next year. You have Sage Ryan, right? I mean, that's an option there. Again, we mentioned Greg Brooks and Sage Ryan have both, Major Burns have both played that. But Jay Ward really held that down for you this year. That's when the secondary really started taking a step forward this year, is when they moved Ward from safety to nickel and moved Brooks from nickel to safety. So obviously you're not going to have Jay Ward. You're not going to have Joe Fouché anymore either, who spent a lot of the time at safety this season, opposite of Greg Brooks. He's out of eligibility. So you'll need to fill a safety role and that nickel role. And the guys you have on the team right now, like on scholarship coming back, I mean, you look at obviously Burns and Brooks. You look at a Matthew Langlois. Jordan Allen is a guy that can play corner and safety. They have him. LSU's had him listed as a safety all year, but you haven't really seen much out of him in terms of playing time as a true freshman. But then you look at the recruiting class, and you brought in three really good options in Michael Dartry, Ryan Yates, and the third one's escaping me at the current moment. Kylan Jackson, the kid from Zachary. Jackson, potentially your best option to maybe start as a freshman, but you don't really want to rely on a freshman there. But you do have bodies. And then look, there's Javian Toviano, who played safety in high school, but LSU has him listed as a corner, so it seems like that's going to be the move for him. Kind of the same thing for Ashton Stamps. As well out of Rummel, listed as a corner for LSU, but has played safety in high school. So you have plenty of options. One way or the other, Mario, I think when you look at 2023 for LSU in that position, you're going to have a young guy somewhere, potentially at some point. Maybe not week one. Maybe week one you do see Greg Brooks and Major Burns in the deep in the defensive backfield, and you have Sage Ryan at nickel. But look, if there's one thing we've realized as well from this team, and Mike and Matt House, adjustments are prevalent, right? So I wouldn't expect what you see week one maybe to be what you see later in the year. So at some point, I think you're going to have some youth in the defensive backfield at safety for LSU.
At some point you will. But you make a good point about the coaching staff there, and now LSU finally has a defensive coordinator coming back for a second straight season for the first time in like 4 years. So having some veterans on the team and in the secondary will help. But I like that you brought up Ashton Stamps. I actually got a chance to broadcast one of his games. Rummel traveled here to Baton Rouge and played against U High. And I believe the only home game the Cubs lost all season was against Rummel, and Ashton Stamps had the game-clinching interception in that one. Now, I think they might lean a little bit more to the veterans as far as playing time. Guys like LaTerrence Welsh coming into their second year might get more playing time, but that's somebody I'm excited about as far as the freshman class goes.
For sure. No, absolutely. And the secondary in general, right? You might see youth there, even at cornerback. You mentioned LaTerrence Welsh. I mean, he didn't play much this year, so it'd basically be like a redshirt freshman season for him. Denver Harris, potentially day one starter if everything works out there off the field. We mentioned Javian Toviano. So, I mean, you got Zy Alexander, too, a transfer from Southeastern, who actually could be the more veteran option there. But look, you're losing Mekhi Garner, you're losing Jarek Bernard-Converse, and those guys really. I think LSU's secondary, that was one of the biggest question marks, right, coming into this season, and it worked out fairly well. I mean, the guys you had, they really stepped up. You shuffled the lineup a little bit, and I don't know if I really want to say it became a strength of the LSU defense, but it was far, far, far from a weakness.
It was serviceable, especially towards the end of the season. So Major Burns coming back for LSU next season, definitely good news if you're an LSU fan. Somehow I think Major Burns' best football still ahead of him. So,
yeah, that's fair.
So we'll see what he's able to do next season. As far as this game goes, Musso, we'll break it down a little bit more in depth later on in the show, but what's kind of your level of excitement? I've heard some people today, including some of the on-air staff, say they're just not very excited for this game because Purdue's missing their quarterback. They don't have their head coach from this past season anymore, and it might be a blowout in LSU's favor, but I just want to see one go in the net for LSU. After the loss to A&M, after falling in the SEC championship game, losing this game, I think, would be devastating. You can't finish 9-5 on a 3-game losing streak after you built up so much goodwill early on in the season, and I believe it was Brian Kelly who said earlier this week, this game is the finish of this first year as well as the start of next season, when the expectations, the high expectations, will really be there for Brian Kelly and LSU from game one.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's my intrigue when it comes to this game as well. You have to really search, right, in this day and age of bowl games to find something. But it's what you said there to start for sure. You got to get that 10th win. You've been trying to get the 10th win now. This will be your third opportunity at it. Like you said, you lost at A&M. You lost against Georgia. You don't want to see 3 L's to end the year because that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Now, that being said, LSU is better than a 2-touchdown favorite in this game, and there's a reason for that because Purdue has nobody really left to play. They've had a lot of opt-outs. You've had the coach leave town. He's already taken assistants with him. There's assistants on this Purdue staff that will, after the bowl game, leave and also follow Jeff Brom to Louisville. So how much focus has really been there, I think, is a fair question to ask. So, yes, LSU should win the game. The 10th win should happen, but you want to see it happen. But for me, Mario, the main intrigue is you get to see a rough draft of the 2023 LSU Tigers, who you just mentioned are going to have high expectations and should be pretty good. You'll see virtually the same offense on the field in the Citrus Bowl that you will next season. That's exciting. You can take the next step there. On defense, there's a few pieces you'll be missing, and you haven't got the recruits and the early enrollees in yet, so that's why I say a rough draft. But you get your first look at the 2023 Tigers, and that, to me, is the main level of intrigue I have, aside from them winning the game and polishing off a 10-win season.
And I love that they lifted the redshirt rule. You're now going to get to see guys like Quincy Wiggins play in an actual game, which is huge for them. Like the reps for them against, another Power 5 team is huge going into next season. So still a lot of intrigue. I'm sure maybe we'll give a pick on that game before the end of the show, but I'm really jacked up for it. LSU really needs to get a win.
They do. Got to go out strong. And again, head into 2023 where you'll have plenty of expectations and should be pretty darn good.
Mario Jerez alongside Matt Musso, filling in for Matt Moscona here on a Friday edition of After Further Review. Danny's here hanging out with us too. On the other side of this break, talk a little bit of Saints, look at the injury report ahead of Eagles and Saints. A very important injury on the Philadelphia side that could affect the spread in this game. We'll talk about that on the other side. This is After Further Review, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
Take 60 seconds. Remind you about our friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana. For years, I've told you so many examples of your friends and neighbors, our listeners, who have called Insurance Network of Louisiana. This process is so easy. I don't want it to be intimidating because sometimes people think insurance, I don't know, I don't know what my coverage is, I haven't looked at it in so long. Don't be intimidated. At Insurance Network of Louisiana, the guys and gals over there are awesome, and they can walk you through the entire process. It's easy. It starts with one phone call. You call Insurance Network of Louisiana, they take a little bit of information, and then they go shop. They do all the work for you. And then they'll come back with you and let you know if they were able to find you better coverage for less money. It's basically like this, the analogy I give. Would you hire an agent if you were an athlete that could only negotiate with one team? Or would you rather hire an agent that can negotiate the best deal among all the teams? That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
My dad just really enjoyed his life, and he enjoyed smoking cigars and thought he was invincible. My stepdad quit smoking, and he really felt like he was in the clear. Sorry. I wish they would have been screened annually. It's not just you affect, it's your entire family.
For more information on Ochsner's free smoking cessation program and to see if you qualify for early lung screenings, visit ochsner.org/quit.
3 people walk into a bar. The first 2 order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer, crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution. A network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. That's where you can check them out, Michelli.com. Remember, at Michelli, they do offer ISO 17025 accreditation. You can learn more at Michelli.com and other accreditations and standard calibrations as well, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. All of their different services and products are at the website. The website is a great virtual font of resources. So many times clients will say, oh, I didn't know you did that. Go to Michelli.com. The track system that they offer is a great asset. Track records, assets, and calibrations. It's an acronym. And what this allows you to do is track the status of the calibration of your devices. And then it also gives you a record of those calibrations at your fingertip online for free 24/7, 365, so you can be more efficient. Michelli Weighing and Measurement.
Touchdown, South Carolina. The Gamecocks lead Notre Dame 14-7 in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl.
Like that.
We do like that. Man, they look like they have so much fun playing for Beamer, man. If I was good enough to play football on this level, I would want to play for that, man.
And plus, Mario, Spencer Rattler's good now. Haven't you heard?
Ha, he is. It's
like I mean, the last 2 weeks of the regular season looked like a completely different guy.
It's insane. I heard Hanny talk about it on Jimmy's show earlier. He had the big game the second to last week of the season, and you think, okay, he used up all his goodwill, but he comes back the next week against Clemson, does what he does, and he has a lot of momentum now coming into this game and maybe going into the next year. So stay tuned to see what he does. They lead 14-7 over Notre Dame due to the Gamecocks, but we are going to transition to some NFL talk here, Musso. The Saints taking on the Eagles on Sunday afternoon. It's a 12 p.m. kickoff in Philadelphia. Sure, a lot of sleepy eyes will be watching that game after the holiday the night before, but you know I will. I will actually be broadcasting that game. And we have some major news on the injury report, Musso. Looks like Jalen Hurts doubtful ahead of this game, and Alvin Kamara, who was apparently dealing with some personal stuff, back in practice for the Saints, so we can start there.
All right, let's start with Jalen Hurts. That's huge, obviously. When he's been limited the last 2 days, but apparently that isn't enough. Like, limited is very, very limited. Maybe it's just him out there doing conditioning things or whatnot. A right shoulder for a right-handed quarterback obviously isn't anything to mess with. Not breaking any news there, but it's the legs. I mean, it's his legs, obviously, that are more important to this game. Not that Jalen Hurts hadn't had a very nice year throwing the football. He has. I mean, he has perhaps the strongest case to win MVP right now for the 2022 season. But specifically this game against that Saints defense, his legs would have been, and I say would have because if he's doubtful, he's not playing. They might as well just list him as out. Would have been the X factor, as they've been the last 2 years when the New Orleans Saints have had to go up there to Philadelphia and play the Eagles. And it's one thing for this year because the Saints' rush defense isn't good. When the Saints' rush defense was one of the best in the NFL, and we talked about this with Mike Triplett yesterday on the show, they still got gashed by the Philadelphia Eagles. Remember the 50-some-odd game streak of not allowing a 100-yard rusher. That ended at the hands of the Eagles, and both Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders went over 100 yards in that game. You hadn't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 50-some-odd games. You allowed 2 in that one game. And it's just been the same script for Philadelphia the last couple of years when they faced New Orleans, and it would have been this year as well. So no Jalen Hurts changes this game dramatically. Now, it is also worth pointing out Miles Sanders is a full go now. He was returned to practice fully today, and he's not listed. Does not have a designation on the injury report, which makes you assume that he will play. How effective can he be without Jalen Hurts? That remains to be seen, but he's still a pretty good running back.
The rush defense was a lot better last week, and I know the weather was what it was in Cleveland, but they did a good job of holding Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in check, and Miles Sanders still a lot to deal with, but that's an offensive line that is still without Lane Johnson. Looks like Jason Kelsey was also limited to practice, the star center for Philadelphia, and the 2 weeks before, really all season, to your point, it hasn't been what it's been the last few years, the rush defense. But I really like what I saw last week, and it wasn't even anything the Saints did as far as scheme, Musso. I thought the defensive line really up front was a lot better last week. Guys like Granderson, Street had a couple of big plays. I was saying his name a lot on the Spanish broadcast. If they can bring it against a banged-up Eagles offensive line and not have to worry about Jalen Hurts, that changes the whole dynamic of the game.
It does. You know what I think is also interesting as well with Gardner Minshew is maybe the passing game becomes a little bit more prevalent here. If Miles Sanders isn't able to have the same success as he would standing next to Jalen Hurts, you have no Marcus May for the New Orleans Saints in this game either. He's out. Marshawn Lattimore, is this finally the game? I mean, is this finally the game? And to that point, Mario, and again, talked about this yesterday with Mike Triplett as well, is it even worth it at this point? I mean, I get it. You're still alive. But you have to win out. In every scenario you want to throw out for the Saints to sneak into the playoffs or straight up steal a spot because it would be theft, you have to win out. So you're going up against the best team in the NFL statistically this weekend. If he doesn't play now and you lose and you're eliminated, what's the point of playing him against Carolina? So I'm anxious to see that too. But the Saints secondary with injuries, a little something to watch, specifically with Gardner Minshew and they're slinging the ball around for Philadelphia.
Yeah, with A.J. Brown on the other side, you could definitely use Marshawn Lattimore.
Devontae Smith.
And Devontae Smith. But that matchup of A.J. Brown and Lattimore could be a lot of fun if he does come back. And to your point, if he doesn't play here, I think he doesn't play the rest of the season. I remember when he suffered that injury, That was a really nasty collision he had with Lockett of the Seahawks that was running full speed, got a few feet in the air, and basically just landed on Lattimore's kidney with his knee. Like that was a really nasty injury, and I imagine it would take a long time not just come back, but to be effective enough to try to slow down A.J. Brown. So I hope Lattimore is good. I hope he's able to play, but I'd be really careful if I was the Saints.
And then Kamara. I mean, we haven't even really touched on that. That's massive for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, there's just really no two ways around it. It's great to see him back at practice for a number of reasons. Obviously football, but it was a personal issue keeping him out. So hopefully that's been he's gotten everything in order that he needs to there, because I mean you don't wish ill on anybody. So that's great. But from a specifically football standpoint, it's no secret when the Saints offense has been at its best this year, Alvin Kamara has been heavily involved. And if you wouldn't have had him, I don't know what the hell you would have done at running back. I mean, would we really have gotten 23 carries from David Johnson?
I think so. Carmichael loves giving him the ball.
He does. I mean, he had more touches than Taysom Hill last week, which is a problem.
Unreal.
Yeah, that's that. In no world should that happen. I mean, that would have been my thing, right? If you wouldn't have had Alvin Kamara, it would have been, okay, just feed Taysom Hill. Give the ball to Taysom Hill over and over and over and over again. From even line him up at running back. Like it don't even have to be the direct snap. Like line him up at running back. I don't care.
Part of me wanted to get a look at Eno Benjamin. He was doing really good on his prior teams this season. We'll see if that even happens, but you might not see any of him this Sunday.
No, but I mean, look, the best case scenario for them offensively was having Alvin Kamara for this game. They will, and that gives you a little bit of hope, because Gardner Minshew, Jalen Hurts, it really doesn't matter. I think that was proven last week against the Cowboys. Philly's going to score in this game, and the Saints defense has had their struggles. So you want your offense to be at the best version of itself, and that is when Alvin Kamara is on the field.
I know they're still alive for the playoffs, Musso, and they have been all season, but really the last 5 or 6 weeks, I've worried a little less about the results, honestly, and I was more looking at the individual players, because there are some young guys, some rookies on this team getting really valuable reps right now. I love what Alontae Taylor's doing on defense, and obviously Chris Olave is having a great season as a rookie. He's listed as questionable ahead of this game, but I hope he's able to play, and those two guys, I can really see them have a strong close of the season. The snaps that they've played this year as rookies, although the Saints aren't having the season they want to have, I think will prove invaluable.
That's for sure. I agree 100%. It'd be great to have Olave back out there. That also helps your offense be at its best. I mean, look, fine, yeah, we'll go ahead and single out Keith Kirkwood. Chris Olave catches those balls against the Cleveland Browns. I don't really think anyone's going to dispute that. It's Kirkwood's that's what he's been his whole career, is a practice squad guy, and he gets put into some unenviable positions from time to time. And I mean, look, you can go all the way back to the Bucs game, right? The second down where Dalton got the sack, and they had one receiver on the field. It was Kirkwood, who they had just called up from the practice squad. That's an unenviable situation for that guy to be in. So, obviously, yes, you get Chris Olave back. That's huge. Although, I will say this, those two drops notwithstanding, I thought the Saints actually threw the ball pretty well, given the circumstances they were playing in against Cleveland. And no Olave, no Jarvis Landry. I thought they ended up completing some nice balls that did Andy Dalton.
I thought Dalton played well last week.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's able to keep it up. Looks like Alvin Kamara will be back for the Saints after he missed some practice time, and it looks like Jalen Hurts will not play. At least as of right now, he's listed as doubtful for Philadelphia. So we'll give our final thoughts on that game in the third hour, possibly give you a pick. Coming up on the other side of this break, we'll switch back to LSU football and welcome our first guest of the program, Carter the Power Bryant, host of Power Hour LSU on YouTube, our good friend. Looking forward to the conversation with him coming up next here on After Further Review, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in or carry out 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, and sports on TV. What more could you possibly want? How about sandwiches? Well, they've got those. What about salads? Pluckers actually has really underrated salads. Giant, gorgeous, fresh salads. You can actually eat healthy at Pluckers. Or you could just binge. Award-winning jumbo chicken wings tossed in your favorite sauce. You want to create your own menu item? Do it. They encourage the creativity. Great sides as well, like the cheese fries, the El Guapo dip, maybe the homemade blue cheese potato chips, holy macaroni, fried pickles. They got it all at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. The best place to watch the game, which game? Any game, is at Pluckers. because you can eat wings, drink beer, and watch sports on TV. Remember, Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, I mean, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right. And then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center. And it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having. But they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. WilliamsonEye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
South Carolina leads Notre Dame 21-7.
Love it.
13 minutes, 10 seconds left in the second quarter. In the last segment, they got a pick six after they scored on offense. So you like to see that if you bet on South Carolina or if you're just pulling for the SEC, which I know some people like to do. Do people still do that?
If they do, they shouldn't. Don't do that. Just bet. I mean, that's the only reason I care if South Carolina wins. I bet on them. So I'll just openly say it.
I'm with you on the concept and on the bet. Time to welcome on our first guest of the program, our good friend, Carter Bryant, host of the Power Hour LSU on YouTube. We've had Carter on in this studio many times. Happy to talk to him for the first time in a while. Carter, how are you, man?
Hey, good to see you guys. I'm wondering, starting off with Musso here, would you guys get dumped with Mayo?
No, sorry, that's not gonna happen. No, I'll eat, I'll eat mayo, Carter. But it minimal. I think mayo is one of the worst things to have too much of on a sandwich, and the consistency of it. Yeah, I don't want that all over my body. So no thanks.
Of course, I would get doused in mayo, Musso. I'm not all Dennis Dodd like Musso over here.
No, I'm not Dennis Dodd. I think it's fantastic. I hope every coach does it. I think it's fun. I'm just not doing it.
Okay. I would do it, and I would get bathed in Cheez-Its. I would do most things that I've seen.
I want the French fries at the Idaho Bowl. I want the
yeah.
That'd be awesome. No, I'm in on that.
As someone who worked at Jack in the Box and Burger King and didn't enjoy the smell of grease, we might find something to disagree on there, but that's neither here nor there. Hey, Carter, how pumped are you for the Citrus Bowl?
I'm at about a 6. I love bowl season, right? I love every single one of them. But obviously, with everything that's happened in the past week, the news surrounding everything outside the Citrus Bowl, it's kind of hard to really focus in. And then, you also factor in that LSU, I think, has the biggest point spread. They're the heaviest favorite of any team left in bowl season right now. So, I do wonder if LSU actually does blow out Purdue here. They probably should with all of Purdue's opt-outs. But, of course, LSU away from home this year, they haven't really, blown anybody out away from Tiger Stadium this year. So it should be a very fascinating matchup.
Carter, I'm interested also to know what do you do? You subscribe to this? I look at this kind of to find intrigue in this game as kind of the rough draft of looking at the 2023 LSU Tigers.
In a way, yes, especially considering how young this team is. Obviously, this is a big game for a lot of the true freshmen that have never, played a bowl. And as many of you know, the college football season is just such a weird thing, right? You play all these games, one after the other, only one bye weekend. Oh, yes, here's a 3-week break. Now you got to go to a location just somewhere remote, obviously Orlando, where they'll be playing next year. So, yeah, for the young guys, it's a really good thing for 2023. And also, Musso, it's a good thing if you're returning your starting quarterback, which LSU is in the situation with Jaden Daniels. So, obviously, there are some things you want to see improved in this game. We saw a better vertical passing attack from actually both of the quarterbacks, more so Garrett Nussmeier than Jaden Daniels. So in this game, you want to see Jaden hit some of the vertical shots that are there for him. And we saw some of that versus Georgia. And you want to see more of it versus a Purdue defense that can get beat.
Oh, we're going to get to Jaden Daniels. Don't worry about that. You're not getting out of here without giving us your 2 cents on that. But before we do that, you mentioned the 3-week layoff there in between with bowl practices and whatnot. So LSU, they left early for this, right? I mean, they got there Tuesday, so they're staying a full week. Do you have any thought on that as maybe a potential distraction? I mean, guys coming off that long layoff, just having bowl practice, and then living out of a hotel for a week?
I actually think the opposite, Musso.
Okay.
And the reason why is because college football players don't really get to travel. And I want people listening to this to philosophically really think about how different college football is than every other sport, right? If you take a look at basketball, baseball, softball, you travel a bunch, and you also play a lot of off-season pickup games in various locations. Football, everything you do is in the same area, right, which is your practice facility. So rarely do these players get to travel. Rarely do these players get to go anywhere as a team outside of maybe 4 to 5 to 6-ish times a year, depending on if you make the championship game. I like the fact that these players traveled early and they got the chance to do some really cool things that they probably wouldn't normally get to do. I saw some players get the opportunity to go to an Orlando Magic game. Not many times do athletes get to go to NBA games, especially ones that aren't in the Smoothie King Arena. Now, I love the Smoothie King Arena. Obviously, I'm a big Pels fan, but those opportunities you don't really get all that much, and I'm very happy during bowl season. These bowls do a really good job of giving these athletes a lot of, free swag and a lot of cool opportunities to do other things. Last year, obviously with the bowl, they did the rodeo. This year, they're probably going to do, they did Top Golf together as a team. So getting those traveling opportunities to go along with your first question can really help build a team moving forward.
Carter Bryant is our guest here on After Further Review, host of Power Hour LSU on YouTube. Hey, Carter, what was your reaction to Kayshon Boutte's departure and his announcement that he's going to the NFL draft now?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Obviously, we'll learn more as, time unfolds here. If there really was just something that magically happened after his announcement to come back. Obviously, you got to look at it from, multiple angles. Why was there just this massive change of heart? And why initially did he say that he was coming back when, for me, I still think, even though it's been a tough year, I think Kayshon will be a first-round wide receiver. You look at things like breakout age. You look at things such as when he is on, he is truly the best wide receiver in the sport. We saw it last year before he got hurt. And I still think, NFL teams won't overreact to a down year. Now, they might have questions about some of the, off the field stuff, but honestly, Kayshon is still going to be a big time NFL player. But, as far as how everything unfolded, once again, it's strange, but this is going to be a good opportunity for Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors, and most notably someone like Kyron Lacy and Landon Abieta to have the chance to earn their keep and earn their playing time, because obviously Kyle Parker, Shelton Sampson, the guys coming in, Aaron Anderson, are going to be hot on their heels. So, for me, obviously, Kayshon, I think, is going to be an NFL big-time wide receiver. Where he goes, how he fits into certain offenses. Obviously, it's going to come down to, who his quarterback is going to be as far as his stats are concerned. But, for me, I think LSU's wide receiver room should still be fine.
For the second time this week, Carter, LSU got good news when it comes to a returner in the secondary. Obviously, Greg Brooks earlier this week, and today, or this morning, I should say, Major Burns announced that he will be back for his senior year. Just a reaction to a veteran player returning for LSU at a position of need.
My favorite thing about Major Burns is there's not many safeties that wear a neck roll, and I just freak out. I just love it. I know Jacob Hester is a big neck roll guy, and I am too, especially if it's someone in the secondary, right? And Major Burns had a really iconic play when he got beat and was able to chase down Jace McClellan on an angle route versus Alabama. It was such a great hustle play after getting beat and overcoming injury and coming back to LSU. I just love him. I really do. He's one of those guys, one of those Baton Rouge guys that you just cheer for. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he develops. And once again, there's no playing time guaranteed anywhere really on Brian Kelly's roster next year outside of a few players. And man, Javian Toviano's coming in. There's a lot of very talented safeties. Go down to Zachary, and they'll tell you all about Kylan Jackson and what he's done over the past couple of years. So there's going to be some young guys coming in for his playing time, and he's going to have to earn it.
Carter Bryant is our guest here on After Further Review. Musso teased it a few minutes ago. Let's talk about the quarterbacks here, and let's start with Jaden Daniels. He's also coming back to LSU next season. How would you describe the season he's had so far, and what do you want to see out of him in the bowl game?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? If you look at some advanced statistics, right, such as rush yards, let me repeat that, rush yards after contact. This was one of LSU's best years as a team in rush yards after contact. And a big reason why was because of Jaden Daniels, right? The running back room, I think, was better because of Jaden Daniels, because of all the gravity that, he takes with the zone read game and his ability to run. Obviously, that was huge for LSU's running game after they had to figure out what they were going to do with their offensive line. And obviously, there's a lot of intangible things that Jaden provided to this team, right? He's a great leader. He's very gritty. He's very durable as well. Those things are all very valuable. But, the bottom line, and I share this all the time on Power Hour LSU, I've gotten, to know some people close to Jaden Daniels. And obviously, I'm a big fan of what he's done for this team as an experienced 4-year starter. The big step forward for him is going to be becoming a better vertical passer. And that obviously is just, the big elephant in the room going into next year. Will Jaden do just that? And you saw how important it is to have that in the big moments versus Alabama, where Jaden just quite frankly took over the game. Hit that deep shot to Malik Neighbors down the sideline. That was a pinpoint pass. He hit the deep ball to Kayshawn and drew a pass interference penalty. And, of course, the red zone shot to Mason Taylor. We just didn't see enough of that. And overall, LSU yard per play numbers, I call this thing on my channel, guys, Power Hour LSU and Power Hour SEC, the yard per play threshold. Normally, teams that reach the college football playoff and actually win the college football playoff are teams that average 6.2 yards per play. LSU finished the year at around 5.4. That's around 50th in the country, and that's just not good enough. So the way you increase that number is hitting better vertical shots down the field. Now, what's really interesting about that is if you look at, a stat like EPA per play and just overall efficiency stats, Jaden was a really, really, really sound quarterback. So obviously I love him for that. He obviously gives your team a high floor. Turnover worthy play percentage, Jaden was by far the best quarterback in America when it comes to avoiding turnovers. And all those things are very, very good things. But the next step is becoming, and look, no one's going to ask him to be the next CJ Stroud or Joe Burrow or anything like that. You just got to hit those shots some of the times. And quite frankly, we just didn't do enough of that this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the obvious criticism there. It's odd that it feels like there's just two sides, and the line has definitely been drawn in the sand. Like, it feels like you're either Garrett Nussmeier or Jaden Daniels. There's no in between. And I don't know. I think that's ridiculous, first of all. I think both guys do things well. I think they both have their strengths and both have their, I don't even want to say weaknesses, just both things that they need to work on in general. But, I mean, getting a guy like Jaden Daniels back with all the experience that he has as a starting quarterback, and you ran through some of the big moments he had this season, that can be viewed as nothing but a positive.
Right. Yeah, and trust me, I am fine with, running it back with Jaden as the guy. And I'm a very pro Jaden Daniels believer. But what I'll tell you as well is the explosive play battle does tell you a lot about a football team. And obviously defensively, there were times where LSU's defense just gave up explosive plays. But for the most part, they were fine in that category. It's just offensively, you've got to just hit more of them. And look, I like Garrett Nussmeier as well. I'm very interested in Walker Howard and obviously Ricky Collins coming in as well. The one thing about Garrett Nussmeier is the yard per play numbers got a lot better when he did enter the game. And once again, that was a very small sample size. But the whole shot that he hit down the sideline is one of the best throws I've seen, quite frankly. It's just the turnover, the force to Kayshawn Boutte was a really bad turnover. You never see Jaden Daniels make that mistake. So obviously, just like you said, Musa, very eloquently, you don't have to draw a line in the sand and just say, well, I want this guy to be the quarterback. Yeah. He's the perfect answer. And I think this kind of gets lost sometimes. There's just not many elite quarterbacks in all of college football. Next year, I counted about 5 or 6 of them, and that means there's only 5 or 6 of those guys that exist, right? So there's more non-elite quarterback play than there is, like, bad quarterback play, if you will. And, like, Jaden is a very, very solid, good quarterback. If he becomes a better vertical passer, he will get closer to the Caleb Williams, Drake Mays, and KJ Jeffersons.
Well said. That is Carter Bryant, host of the Power Hour LSU, giving us some good insight as always. Carter, enjoy the new year. Have a good night on Saturday night, and hopefully we talk to you again soon.
Look at you filling in for Scone. You guys are sounding great. And one more thing, baby. Go, Pels, go.
Yes.
Zion making me feel good about life. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Tune in at 4 p.m. We're about to talk to Antonio Daniels. Should be some good stuff.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Carter Bryant giving us a few minutes. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour talking a little LSU hoops. They're off to a great start in SEC play. That's coming up next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001. 752-0001. Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air because I love telling you about great companies that treat people right. That's River City's 1 hour air. They make you feel valued and they make you feel comfortable. When you schedule service with River City's 1 Hour Air, when technicians come into the house, you get a phone call, an email, and a text message alerting you the technician's on the way. You get a text message with a picture, a photo, name, and reviews of that technician who's coming to your house. They take the time to explain everything. They're very thorough. They have equipment on the truck because they're so big on continuing education. They have equipment on the truck other companies don't even own, never even heard of. River City's 1 Hour Air. Nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra. River City's 1 Hour Air. Got a problem with your home central AC? Call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Back here on After Further Review, wrapping up hour number one. We'll kick off hour number two talking Pelicans with Antonio Daniels of Bally Sports. Looking forward to that conversation. But while we got a couple minutes here, Musso, you wanted to talk some LSU hoops. Big win over Arkansas, 60-57 to start conference play. Honestly, I did not see that coming. But yeah, great start in conference play from Matt McMahon.
You know, I don't think many people saw that coming. Now, look, Arkansas was a tad shorthanded, but LSU played a great defensive first half. Kept the clamps on a good bit in the second half, held the ninth-ranked team in the country to below 60 points for the first time this year. What I wanted to touch on is Joe Lunardi released his latest bracketology earlier this afternoon, or earlier this morning, I should say. And LSU, who wasn't in it earlier this week, so there was one on Wednesday on Tuesday before LSU played Wednesday night. They weren't in it. Their net was 81st. after that win against Arkansas, their net's up to 75, and they are in this bracketology. Now, it's not a great spot, but they are in it. LSU is in the next 4 out, right? So you have the last 4 in, the first 4 out, the next 4 out, and they're the last team in that next 4 out. They're the 76th team right now, but that just shows you kind of what we talked about yesterday in recapping that game. It changes the outlook on LSU season to an extent. It makes it easier for you to have a better conference record now that you've already stolen one and potentially be in this conversation bracketology-wise for the rest of the season.
Yeah, first 4 out at this point is really good. That's something else I did not see coming, and maybe it changes the expectations for some people the rest of the season. I mean, this is a team that had to be made from scratch, and they kind of struggled in the non-conference play, at least in the opinion of some, winning some close games there. But that was a big-time win, and Matt McMahon, I think, earned himself some favor with LSU fans, as did guys like Trey Hannibal in that game.
Yeah, Trey Hannibal was awesome. He's a physical guard. The way he goes down, plays downhill is awesome. I enjoyed seeing that. And look, you got a big test with Kentucky coming up on Tuesday night, who's a 7 seed in this bracketology.
Yeah, it will be a big test. And LSU beat Kentucky in the PMAC last year. Now going out to Rupp, going to be pretty tough. But we'll see what happens there. We'll kick off hour number 2 talking Pelicans with Antonio Daniels. That's coming up next here on AFR.
AFR.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. 24 hours after a juvenile burglary suspect managed to get away from an East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's deputy, the search continues for his whereabouts. Sources say the 15-year-old had stolen a car and was being processed for that crime when he got away from the deputy. He took off on foot near Airline and Goodwood. The latest on the search and what neighbors had to say. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Dolphins will turn to backup quarterback Teddy Bridgewater Sunday against the Patriots. Starter Tua Tagovailoa remains in concussion protocol. He has made progress but will not play. Ravens will be without quarterback Lamar Jackson a fourth straight game against the Steelers. Tyler Huntley expected to start instead. Despite totaling 3 touchdowns in 15 quarters without Jackson, Baltimore still does have a shot at the NFC North title, thanks in part to the trade for linebacker Roquan Smith from Chicago, says ESPN's Ryan Clark.
He's a downhill headhunter. He's a guy who wants to get physical, but can also cover in the underneath coverages, which allows the guys on the outside to do what they love to do. I love what he's done here and allowing this team that can't score points, not score just a little points, cannot score points without Lamar Jackson to be in each and every game that they play.
Eagles haven't yet announced whether quarterback Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew starts against the Saints, but Hurts is listed as doubtful with that right shoulder injury. Free agent Cristiano Ronaldo signed with Saudi Arabian soccer club Al Nassr. He'll receive $75 million a year as part of the deal.
Hi, this is Max Kellerman from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. All of us here at ESPN Radio would like to wish you happy holidays and a happy new year.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour number 2 of AFR. Up and running here from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. Mario Jerez alongside Matt Musso. Although technically I'm across from Matt Musso.
Yeah.
He is my co-host here today. Danny Cardenas getting us on YouTube. And it's time now to talk Pelicans. Big one for the Pels tonight inside of the Smoothie King Center. A little bit of a late tip. 7:30 taking on Joel Embiid and the 76ers. Joining us now to talk about it, a man who will be on the call tonight for Bally Sports. He is Antonio Daniels, one of the best color commentators in the NBA, if I do say so myself. AD, thanks for taking the time. How are you?
I'm blessed. Matt, Mario, how you guys doing?
Doing awesome,
Doing great.
man. Doing awesome. A lot of sports on deck for the weekend. We got the holiday coming up tomorrow night. Good vibes over here, man. And it's especially good vibes when you consider that the Pelicans, as we speak, are first place in the Western Conference, 22-12 on the season. And before we get into what Zion did in the last game, before we get into the game tonight, AD, I want to reminisce a little bit to about this time last year. It wasn't going very well for the Pelicans. They didn't have a good record. There were a lot of nefarious reports out there that maybe were a little premature, but you never really lost faith. I'll never forget listening to one of the spaces that Chris Connor does, and he does a good job, and he had you on. And again, things were not looking good, but I'll never forget your words. The first were about the reports that were coming out, and you were saying that the players care about this stuff. Your words were they read this stuff, and it was affecting them. It was motivating them. The second thing you said was, one day we'll look back on all this, and we will laugh. And at the time, honestly, I did not believe it, AD. That seemed like an impossible mission for the Pelicans to get the first place a little over a year from there, but somehow we're here, and you believed the whole time. So my question is, how did you know?
The thing I'm blessed to be at practice every day. I see the relationships that are being built. I see the energy that's in the building. Not when things are going well, because it's easy to kind of jump on board when things are going well. But when things aren't going well, when this team was 1-12 last year and 3-16 last year, to walk in the shoot around and walk into practice and see the amount of life that was in that gym was incredible to me. I played on bad teams, right? And I played on bad teams, and our shoot arounds were not like that, right? That means that when you are in the mud together, you're building something special, right? If you can get along like that when things aren't going well, it's a matter of time before things turn around. And Willie Green, what he said after one of those games was, we're not winning these games now, but we'll win these games in February. And watching this team's chemistry, watching their camaraderie, the way they get along with one another, the way they truly enjoy being around each other, the internal competition that's present, I believed every word that came out of his mouth. Now what you're seeing is the fruits of some of the labor of what David Griffin saw, that vision that he had. And that's why I love Griff, because he has a vision that other people can't fathom. That's what makes him good at his job. Because I remember there was a time here, honestly, you guys can remember, everybody was, fire David Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fire David Griffin. But now look at the way things look. You know, him taking a shot on a Jose Alvarado, a Najee Marshall, a Herb Jones. Like, these kind of guys are big reasons why the Pelicans sit where they do today, obviously, along with generational talent, a lot of firepower, and a lot of versatility.
AD, Zion Williamson, obviously, against the Minnesota Timberwolves was incredible. The career high 43 points is one thing, but, I mean, the way he closed the game, the last 14 points he scored for the Pelicans. My question with that is, look, we all know the type of talent that Zion is, but he did not play at all last year. And coming off the injury, are you at all surprised that he's been this dominant this early in this season after not playing at all last year?
No, I think we forget. How good Zion was. You know, like, if you go back 2 years ago when he gave you 26, 27 points a game on 61% from the field, that's not easy to do. I think we live in a out-of-sight, out-of-mind culture. So what we did is last year, many people focused on the team that was present, the team that went to the playoffs, you know, the team that won the 2 playing games, the team that went 37-30 if you count the 2 playing games in their last 67 games before the playoffs. So it's easy to forget that you have a generational talent that's sitting on there on the side. And what it seems like Zion understood that he had to do was remind some people who he was. And I'm not just talking about people here in New Orleans. I'm talking about some of the talking heads nationwide as well. The people that made fun of him, the people that called him names, the people that said that there was no way that he was coming back and signing the extension, the people that said he didn't want to be in New Orleans. He kept every receipt. And I remember the first game we played Brooklyn, and I sat down and I interviewed him, and I asked him at that time, did you keep all those receipts over the past year? And he looked at me straight in my eye and said, AD, you know I did. I kept and I read every one of them. So it's not a surprise why he's coming out and playing the way he is now.
I love it. And one of those talking heads is someone you know well and someone my coworker T-Bob knows really well, and that's Colin Cowherd. I really enjoyed the interviews you did with him post all the Pelicans' success. So that was a lot of fun to watch. And like we were just talking about, Zion has been a lot of fun to watch, but I've seen a lot of improvement from him on defense. Yes, he gets some steals. He gambles a lot of the time, but he seems a lot more sound on that end of the court. Would you agree?
Oh, there's no question. And I think that's the biggest jump that I've seen in this game as well. And it's not just the fact of playing defense, it's the want to. You know, I've had long, lengthy conversations with Teresa Weatherspoon, about this. And she had told me a while back, AD, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a difference in the way that he defends. Earlier in the year, you wouldn't be wrong if you said at certain points that Zion was a defensive liability. You can't say that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he understands the assignment. The assignment means if I'm the best player on this team's going to go as I go. So if I don't defend, I can't ask anyone else to defend. If I'm not diving on the floor and first to the floor, I can't ask anyone else to do it. So now Zion's in a place where he understands the assignment. And once your star player, your best player, understands the assignment, it's easy for everybody else to get on board.
So, AD, tonight, obviously, big one in the blender, sellout crowd expected. Pelicans in first place again in the Western Conference. If the playoffs started today, the Sixers would be a 5 seed in the East. So, I mean, you've got a great team coming in. We know about Joel Embiid. Looks like they could be getting Tyrese Maxey back tonight as well for Philly. Last year, You lost both games by 10. That was before the Pelicans hit their stride down the stretch. So now you look at this Pelicans team. How do they match up with this Sixers squad?
It remains to be seen, because as much as we can sit here and we can talk about the problem that Zion Williamson presents for opponents, they got a dude over there that presents problems too.
Yeah.
That dude, Joel Embiid, like right now, he's leading the NBA in scoring. And he's shooting north of 50% from the field. Do you know how hard that is to do? Just the efficiency. He's getting to the line 12 times a game. So when we talk about skill in today's NBA, yes, you can look at Nikola Jokic and what he brings offensively. Joel Embiid will give it to you however you want it. Face-ups, back to the basket. He has guard skills, step back, up and unders, and then, obviously, the 12 free throw attempts per game. So it doesn't just stop there, though. We know what James Harden's resume is, and obviously he's kind of been up and down, been injured, and hasn't yet found his complete stride, but he's almost giving you 12 assists a game. So the way the Philadelphia 76ers are constructed now, I don't pay attention to what their record is. I don't pay attention to the fact that they're fifth in the Eastern Conference. They're a better team than what their record indicates, in my opinion, because they're deep. When you get Tyrese Maxey back and you put him alongside James Harden and Joel Embiid, you got a legitimate big three, because Tyrese Maxey's giving you 20 points per game. Then you bring in guys like Tobias Harris and DeAnthony Melton and P.J. Tucker and Shake Milton. All these guys are role players that have embraced their role. And I say all the time, you can't excel in your role until you embrace it. So they have a team that is slowly but surely coming together.
With Doc Rivers leading the way as head coach, 7:30 tip between the Sixers and the Pelicans tonight in the Smoothie King Center. It's good times in New Orleans right now. AD, the Pelicans are winning, but the situation with Brandon Ingram still a little bit frustrating, at least to me. I kind of expect him to be back by now, especially when you consider this is just a bruise, but they asked him about it yesterday, and he said he doesn't have confidence right now in his game. He can't push off like he wants to. He can't be as explosive as he wants to be, and he just doesn't feel like himself. I know Aaron Nelson and the training staff like to be careful. They prioritize longevity. But do you think the Pelicans are just being cautious here, or is it time to get concerned?
No. They're not being overly cautious, but it's also not a reason to be concerned. Understand that Desmond Bane for Memphis just missed about a month and a half with an injury very similar to this. Like, when you're talking about your toe, it's different. It's not just something you can just kind of put a pillow around and keep hooping. You use it on every possession. You push off, you jump, you slide, when you're defensive slide, all these different kind of things. And it's not just the fact that he doesn't feel like himself, because on some days he will, but on other days he won't. And that's the difficult part. So he can go out on a Monday and feel fantastic and have a great game, but then after the game, feel that Monday game more than he has in the past. So it's not just about that. It's about the recovery process as well. You want to get back to a point where you can go out and you can play a game, and then the next day you wake up and feel like if you had to, you can play another game, as opposed to playing that game and then maybe having a good game and then being down for the next 2 or 3 games anyway.
Antonio Daniels is our guest here on After Further Review. We're talking Pelicans, no BI in the lineup, but Zion's been killing it. And CJ McCollum, I think the last 3 weeks or so has really picked it up. I don't think he's having a bad season at all. He does have career low numbers kind of across the board, but I think he's making timely shots. I think he's doing a really good job of kind of picking his spots in these games. So how would you describe CJ's season up to this point?
I don't think there's anyone on the roster that's had to adjust their game more than C.J. McCollum has. We have to understand the situation that C.J. came from in Portland and the C.J. McCollum that he's asked to be here. In Portland, he was a flat-out bucket getter. It was him and Damian Lillard. That's where it stopped. Plain and simple. All right, go out and get your buckets, go out and do your thing. And here, he has more help. So when you're asked to be a lead guard in this position, you're not asked to be a lead guard to score, because you have a Zion Williamson, you have a Brandon Ingram, you have a Jonas Valanciunas, other guys that you can play through. So CJ's still in the process of adjusting. But as we've seen this year, look, it's like riding a bike for him. He's a vet. He's been there before, never missed the playoffs. This ain't nothing new for CJ. You said it. Over the past 3 weeks, he's a completely different basketball player. Obviously fighting through COVID with his lungs and trying to get his legs back, and now he looks like the C.J. McCollum that I'm accustomed to seeing play prior to coming to New Orleans, and then last year in New Orleans. So I understand we live in a microwave culture where we want everything right now. And I've said this about the Pelicans for quite some time. We need to have a crock pot approach with them, not a microwave approach where we need everything right now. Things are going to take time. We just have to be patient with it and watch it play itself out.
I believe that coming from you. Like I said, you told me certain things a year ago. I didn't believe it. They came true. So that definitely holds weight coming from you. Before we let you get out of here, I want to talk about the atmosphere on deck inside the Smoothie King Center tonight. I've been a season ticket holder since 2008, so I can acknowledge that this is the best the atmosphere I think has looked game to game since the Pelicans moved back from Oklahoma City. A lot of people have uncovered a Joel Embiid interview from about a year ago where he said that he looked around in the crowd when he was playing against the Pelicans last season, and if he had to play in front of crowds like that, he'd have trouble getting jacked up. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Joel Embiid will leave tonight with a different opinion. That being said, what do you expect it to be like inside of the blender tonight?
Well, first, the interview that was, I saw it earlier, and there's no context to it. You know, as far as what was going on in New Orleans at that time, you know, it's the whole lot. Like, it's easy just to kind of create your own motivation, so to speak. And right now, I don't think Pels fans need a reason to be motivated outside the fact that this team is worth the support. This team is a reflection of this city. Man, every game, and it sounds so cliche-ish to say, but every game feels like a playoff game. It does. I remember calling games last year in the playoffs with Phoenix Suns. Yep, and it was electric in there. But you know what? It's electric in there when you play Milwaukee. It'll be electric in there tonight. You know, it was electric in there 2 days ago. You know, there hasn't been a game that I can remember in recent memory that hasn't been electric. So when you hear all the different things, oh, you know what, New Orleans isn't a basketball city, or, you know, they need to relocate the team to Seattle. Yeah, that's why I can completely understand the pettiness of this fan base. They're tired of hearing it.
Well said. Antonio Daniels giving us some great insight as always. Check him out on the call tonight. Bally Sports New Orleans, 7:30 tip between the 76ers and the Pelicans. AD, thanks for the time. Please say hello to Joel for us. Have a great call tonight, my friend.
I will do. Thank you, guys. God bless you guys.
Yes, sir. God bless you as well. That is Antonio Daniels of Bally Sports New Orleans, and that conversation was a lot of fun. So.
It was. And, you know, speaking of the atmosphere, I mean, shout out to the guy who sits behind Joel and AD. He's been living it up the last few games in the blender.
He has. Audible on the broadcast the whole game, but still had the wherewithal to tell everybody to shut up when Zion was shooting the go-ahead free throws at the end. So, like the fan etiquette that we're seeing inside of the Smoothie King Center right now. Big one between the Pels and the Sixers. We'll give some final thoughts on that game in the third hour. Coming up next, we will talk about something else. So stay tuned for that. This is After Further Review, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Any of the 4 locations, tell you every single day. Buy local, shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. As we head toward the new year, remember, this is the perfect time of year to plant trees and shrubs. They have a great selection of citrus trees right now over at Clegg's Nursery. So maybe you want some privacy shrubs from your neighbors. Clegg's has a great selection, great inventory, so get on by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, you know where they are all over town. They've been an institution for more than 60 years. And remember, Clegg's is partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So anything you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. So if you're a green thumb or a do-it-yourselfer, it's one-stop shop at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. the embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Remind you about GMFS Mortgage, gmfsmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. Home buy, refi, construction loans. You know where to find them, gmfsmortgage.com. Hey, look, I know interest rates have been such a huge talking point. As, you know, in recent months, we've seen rates tick up from their insane all-time lows in the last couple of years. But rates are still great right now. In an historical perspective, rates are fantastic. Even if you're looking right now thinking, man, I'll wait till the market goes down. There's so many options you have. Maybe if you're still anticipating rates going up, you get in now before rates go up, and when the market corrects, you refi. That's just an example of something you could do, but my highest recommendation is if you're thinking about owning a home, stop renting, start building equity, build wealth. Talk with a local loan officer at GMFS Mortgage. Learn more online at gmfsmortgage.com.
Welcome back to the show. Mario Jerez, Matt Musso filling in for Matt Moscona, Danny Cardenas getting us on YouTube. Watching some bowl games here in the studio. Pitt leads UCLA 31-28.
Stupid.
Sorry, Musso. And South Carolina at the half leads Notre Dame 24-17. Had an injury in that UCLA game. DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, someone LSU fans should know well, did leave the game. He was back on the warm-up bike, so that's good news if you're supporting UCLA here. But a couple good games. And this is always a little bittersweet, at least for me, Musso. Obviously, I love this. I love bowl season. I love watching games at work, which we could blame as doing our job. A lot of other people can't do that, but it's also signifying the end of the season, which does bum me out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, the season, it goes by fast, but it comes back around just as fast. I mean, that kind of hit me last night watching Florida State, Oklahoma, and there's Florida State, and LSU is going to open the season up against them in a few, I mean, what, 7 months or so? 7-8 months? Or I guess 10 technically, but in that same stadium that Florida State was playing and that LSU is going to play in on Monday. So, yeah, man, look, it's It is a bittersweet time, but it always comes back around just as fast as it goes by, I feel like.
Well said, especially if LSU had a good season. I mean, coming off of the 2 years before this, of course, the offseason's going to feel a lot longer, but still enjoying bowl season nonetheless, and we'll definitely enjoy it when the college football playoff gets going. That's what we wanted to discuss here in this segment. I guess let's start with Michigan and TCU. This is a 4 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, Glendale, Arizona, inside of State Farm Stadium, and Michigan getting a lot of love right now. Not long ago, people were trying to get John Harbaugh out of town. Jim is the right brother. I'm sorry, it gets confusing. One beat the other in the Super Bowl, but he's got it going on right now. And TCU, obviously coming off the loss in the Big 12 title game, does not have a lot of momentum, but they do have Max Duggan. And I think they have the quarterback advantage in this game. And if anything, at least they have that. I do like Michigan to win, but I don't think it'll be as big of a blowout as a lot of other people are saying.
Looking at Michigan right now is a 7.5-point choice in the game, so better than a touchdown. You're right. Max Duggan does give TCU an advantage at quarterback. And Blake Corum being out obviously is huge for Michigan. That's their best player on offense. However, they really haven't missed that much of a beat in the running game, has Michigan, even without Corum. So, I mean, Donovan Edwards has been awesome. He's averaged 7 yards per carry this season. I look at this game, and I see two teams that had very different paths to get here. Michigan, early in the season, their non-conference schedule was a joke. I mean, it was ridiculous. They actually ducked this UCLA team we were just talking about earlier and then scheduled some FCS team. And I think that's one reason it took a long time for people to come around on Michigan, because for a while they weren't tested. They blew Penn State out. That was mighty impressive. They had a close game there with Maryland or whatnot and another one along the way. But then they blow out Ohio State again, and you think, okay, this team belongs. And what they did to Purdue, who was scrappy in the Big Ten championship game, this team belongs. TCU, on the other hand, has played close game after close game after close game in a very deep Big 12. Is the Big 12 an elite conference right now? No, maybe not, but it's the most balanced conference. I mean, all those teams are on the same level, and they had to go through a lot of tough games, hard-fought victories, and you end up dropping the championship game, actually, if you're TCU, but you still get there. I look at this one much like Purdue, Michigan. I think TCU hangs around early. I think Michigan leans on them late and pulls away and does end up covering the 7.5.
I just think with the passing game, I think Max Duggan can keep that Michigan running game off the field, and that's their path to winning. I mean, you mentioned the schedule. I don't think Michigan's seen a group of receivers, except for the Ohio State game, as talented as TCU. You have a lot of time to prepare, so maybe Sonny Dice can scheme something. I do like Michigan to win, but I definitely like TCU to cover. Moving on to the next game, speaking of the Big Ten, Ohio State did not win the conference this year. They lose to Michigan for the second straight season, and despite the fact that they're back in the college football playoff, Ryan Day's record is 1 million wins and a very few losses. It feels like he's under a little bit of heat. Not to get fired or anything like that, but you definitely feel a little bit of the pressure, and how can you undo 2 losses to Michigan? Beat them in the college football playoff final. That's a possibility for Ohio State, but they have a very tall task ahead of them before they can get to Michigan for a rematch, and that's the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, a building that the Bulldogs are very familiar with at this point. Honestly, I think Ohio State kind of looked suspect all season, especially on defense. I know they brought Knowles over from Oklahoma State to try to beef that unit up, but they kind of looked suspect all season. You mentioned Michigan blew out Penn State. Ohio State struggled in that game, and I definitely have questions mainly about their defense coming into the college football playoff, which they backed themselves into.
So I'll say this. Ohio State, this is what's interesting, right? You just saw LSU throw for 500 yards against Georgia. Ohio State has the quarterback and the receivers that can replicate that, even without Jackson Smith and Jigba on the field. He's going to be out for the game, as will Travion Henderson, for what it's worth, the running back position. That's 2 key losses for the offense. But Marvin Harrison Jr. has stolen the headlines for the Ohio State receiving corps, and C.J. Stroud's still pretty darn good. That's the interesting part. Georgia does have some injuries on defense, but the defensive line is healthy. Jalen Carter. So can they get a push and make Caleb Williams uncomfortable back there? C.J. Stroud uncomfortable back there? That's huge. But Ohio State's passing game against the Georgia secondary that we just saw get torched by LSU is something interesting to watch in the game. But this is what it comes down to for me. If Ohio State didn't get tougher since that Michigan game, you're going up against the wrong team, Jack. Because Georgia is a better Michigan. And they're going to lean on you. They're going to run the ball down your throat. You have not seen an athlete like Brock Bowers. Ohio State can match you raw talent. Can they match your physical toughness? I don't think they can. I think Georgia's a meaner football team than Ohio State. And ultimately, that's going to allow them to pull away in this game and cover the touchdown spread. You look at 6 points right there. I'm not saying Georgia blows them out, but a 6-point spread. Could Georgia win this game by 7? Absolutely. I expect them to. And it's because they're going to lean on Georgia. They're going to just muscle and push around Ohio State, much like Michigan did late in that game.
I'm with you. I like them to cover, and Georgia's definitely the more physical team, but also Ohio State's defense, I don't think can keep up with the finesse of Georgia's offense. You mentioned Brock Bowers having another great season, 726 receiving yards. McIntosh, Kendall Milton, both running backs, really active in the passing game. And Ladd McConkey, at least to me, maybe an underrated player for Georgia. He had a really good game against LSU, and that offense, yes, they can run the ball, but they can throw the ball, and they can be high-flying when they need to be. And against the suspect Ohio State secondary, I can see the Georgia passing game have a lot of success.
That'd be welcome because I mean, Georgia they don't stretch the field very much there in the passing game. A lot of the passes are either behind or just in front of the line of scrimmage. So Stetson Bennett operates that offense very, very well. I mean, I know he's always going to hear the criticism about you're surrounded by a bunch of great players, but I'll give the guy his credit in the fact that he operates that offense very, very well. Is he a system quarterback? Yeah, maybe, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like
if it's a good system,
exactly, and that's the thing. You can apply that to college, NFL, or not. We live in a world where, for some reason, being called a system quarterback's a knock. That's not necessarily. You know who was called a system quarterback his whole damn career? Tom Brady. He's the best quarterback to ever play the game, right? I'm not obviously saying Stetson Bennett's Tom Brady. That'll never happen in a million years. But the guy knows how to run that offense and efficiently. He's earned the respect of many and deservedly so.
Smoke in the Bayou 4 chat says he likes the Ohio State money line, and that makes me think that you have a proper screen name there, Smoke, because you must be on something if you think Ohio State is going to win this game. But hey, they'll have a chance to prove me wrong. They got to play the game, right? And this is the college football playoff. You would think the teams should be somewhat evenly matched. But if you look at the numbers, this round usually not very fun in terms of games being close. So I don't like that pick at all from Smoke in the Bayou 4 chat.
We'll see. We'll get it going, man. I'm excited for this playoff more than any other, I think, in recent memory.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's different. You've got – there's no Alabama, there's no Clemson.
That's nice.
Georgia, sure, you're defending champ, whatever. Ohio State's made plenty of appearances, but this is only Michigan's second trip. TCU got jobbed out of it the last time with the one true champion crap in the Big 12, and now they get their shot, and they've had a really nice season. So I think you have a nice mix in this year's playoffs. I am excited for it.
Random thought before we break. Gary Patterson on the Texas sideline reminds me a lot of Bruce Arians with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, what are you doing, man?
It's weird. It is weird for sure. I mean, it's Sonny Dykes, dude. Just the year. I mean, TCU was bad last year. They weren't good. And year one, to turn it around the way he did, he should win every Coach of the Year award. Every single one of them.
Well said. We'll talk more college football playoff in the third hour. On the other side of this break, we'll reminisce a little bit. This is the final AFR of 2022, so we'll look back. We'll discuss some of our favorite memories in sports, maybe a little outside of sports in the past calendar year. That's coming up next here on AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. It's Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys, and the G team just keeps on growing. Actually, some pretty fantastic news as Trey Morgan has rejoined the G team for another year. Malik Neighbors as well. Of course, Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys, doing amazing work in the community. Like we talked about the 500 bike giveaway that they did for young people, less fortunate people in our communities around the state of Louisiana. Just another way that Gordon is able to give back. but also through NIL opportunities as well for some great college athletes and using those partnerships. A really cool video, if you haven't seen it yet, on their social media with re-announcing Trey Morgan rejoining the Get Gordon team for this upcoming baseball season with Gordon and Trey at the bike giveaway. So make sure you check it out on the Gordon McKernan social media. Go to Get Gordon on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys on Facebook as well. If you've been injured and you need an attorney, you know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2022 Ford F-150, plus no payments for 90 days and 2.9% APR for 72 months. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz winter event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz winter event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corvell Toyota family.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
AFR is brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. I want to remind you that we're getting toward the new year. It's almost New Year's resolution time, but you can get a jump start on that New Year's resolution if it's to get in shape, to lose weight, to look and feel your best. Hormone replacement therapy could be the option for you. The Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana are a nation's leader. They were voted the nation's #1 aesthetic practice in the country back in Las Vegas at the National Aesthetic Show. And they're right here in Baton Rouge. So schedule that consultation. Go have that blood draw, run your labs, and let them tell you if hormone replacement therapy could help you feel like your younger self again. You can learn more online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com.
This is a Friday edition of After Further Review. Mario Jerez across from Matt Musso. Danny Cardenas here getting us on YouTube. Got a couple bowl games on the television here in studio. Pitt leads UCLA 34-28. 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Big fourth down for UCLA right now, and it looks like they will not get the first down, so looking really good for Pitt. South Carolina leads Notre Dame by a touchdown. They're getting ready to start the third quarter over there, and we're getting close to the end of the year here, Musso. Not just in college football, but the calendar year. Did you have a good 2022, man?
I did. One more thing. Why the hell did they go for it on fourth down? You have 3 timeouts in 2.5 minutes.
Your 2022 would have been better if they didn't.
Punt the ball, see if you can stop them. I mean, now they're almost in field goal range already with a chance to just ice it. That's stupid. All right, anyway.
College football coaches just lose their brain, like you said.
Anyway, yeah, man, 2022 was great. It was from a sports perspective, certainly. There were a lot of awesome moments locally and nationally that we can look back at it. Maury, I'll bring it back to the very beginning of the year, January, right? NFL playoffs. They were fantastic. But, I mean, I think the one that everybody here really enjoyed was Joey B. and Jamar and Thad Moss and Tyler Shelvin and the rest of the Cincinnati Bengals taking down the Kansas City Chiefs and punching their ticket to a Super Bowl.
From 31 yards, McPherson, and Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl. They beat Mahomes at home. Wow, Joe Burrow, no way. Only 2 quarterbacks have won an FBS national title game and a Super Bowl, and that's Joe Namath and Joe Montana, and Joe Burrow's trying to be the third.
Now, obviously, look, it didn't pan out. He's not the third yet. But that was an awesome moment. Man, I remember it meant a lot here. I mean, I was in a bar watching that game, and when McPherson made the field goal, the place went nuts. Yeah. I mean, you'd have thought it was Cincinnati that you were watching it at. Just what that guy, Joe Burrow, and the rest of that team still mean to Baton Rouge and will forever was demonstrated there just with the loyal following that Cincinnati gained and still possesses down here in southeast Louisiana.
Man, I enjoyed that one. And if this was OTB, Hester and Danny would start making fun of me for making this about myself, but I'm going to. That was the first legal bet I ever made.
Here you go, Danny. Do it. Grab the mic.
In Louisiana. And that was right when they made it legal. And I was feeling a little frisky. They had upset the Titans the week before, and I thought in my head, Joe Burrow's getting sacked so much, he gets up every single time and still makes plays, and their defense is playing really well. Sure enough, they shut down Pat Mahomes, and they get the big win. That was definitely a lot of fun to watch. Wish they could have won the Super Bowl, but yeah, we'll see if he's able to get back, Joe Burrow.
They got a shot this year, man. The Bengals are playing really well.
They are. They're hot right now. And keeping it with football, as we reminisce on the memories here, you have to start, I think, discussing LSU football and the year they just had with the hiring of Brian Kelly. Honestly, when he first came, I didn't think it was a bad hire or anything, but I wasn't as optimistic as everybody else. But he's proven to be a really good coach, I think, when you consider what he took over and winning the SEC West in his very first season. Obviously, they're looking to build on that, but you had a lot of good moments in his first season as LSU head coach after he was hired.
And the one that's going to stick out to everybody took place on November 5th.
Daniels for the win. Caught. It's good. LSU does it. Mason Taylor.
What a scene. Well, I mean, everyone. That's one that everyone's going to have a story about from that night forever. And it just... it's never going to feel small whenever you beat Alabama right now, even though now LSU's beaten them twice in the last 4 years. It's 2-2 the last 4 games. So going into that game, you remember feeling like they had a shot. And it was kind of the first time in a little bit that they had a shot. It was the first time since 2019 where you really went into it and said, okay, they can beat this team and they're not afraid of this team. And you could see that from the jump. I mean, the Bernard Converse pick interception was huge. That's a different game if he doesn't intercept that ball. But, I mean, the Daniels run in overtime on the first play, then Mason Taylor, and the euphoria that ensued after, both in Tiger Stadium and really wherever you were watching the game was awesome. And it was the moment of the season. And even if LSU would have achieved higher in the season, that's still it would have been the moment of the season. You can go back to 2019. The moment of the season was beating Alabama. Sure, winning the national championship was awesome, but beating Alabama was better. So that's how it is right now. That's how it's been for a while. That's how it will continue to be as as long as they are the standard in college football and as long as Nick Saban patrols those sidelines.
Yeah, that was a hell of a memory, man. And again, I think it was kind of a defining moment for Brian Kelly. Last thought I have on that game is that I'll never forget when LSU took a knee with 17 seconds left, I think, and they had 2 timeouts. I had multiple text messages in my phone saying that Brian Kelly is a coward. How are we not trying to win the game? Well, that tune changed when he went for the 2-point conversion to win the game. Yep. Sure enough, LSU hits it. Mason Taylor becomes a hero in Baton Rouge, and they win the game. So it was definitely a good year for the LSU football Tigers. I think, honestly, Musso, my happiest sports memories of 2022 had to be surrounding the New Orleans Pelicans. When you consider, we were just talking about it with Antonio Daniels, how bad of a situation, not just the team, but the franchise was in about a year ago. But they finished last season strong. They made the playoffs, and they already have some really memorable moments this season, still part of 2022.
They do. But, Mario, the one we were kind of going through and talking about things, and we were talking about the play-in, and, man, you can't talk about the Pelicans winning the play-in without mentioning Willie Green, and you got to fight.
They might bring it in. You took the best punch. It's a 10-point game going in the fourth quarter. Okay? Get your freaking heads up. This is what we live for. This is what we worked hard for. Okay? We ain't giving it up. We are not freaking giving this up. You got to freaking fight. You got to fight.
Man.
I mean, that was so good. They're just... And then, look, the game ended obviously great. They beat the Clippers and go on and really push the Suns to the brink. But that is a turning point moment in the franchise, that speech from Willie Green. And, 100%. I mean, that one will be remembered for forever, depending on because it looks like the tenure is going to work out pretty darn well right now, doesn't it? So, but you're right, Mario. You mentioned earlier this year as well, just in this season, the Pelicans have had some nice moments, and here's one for you that I think you might enjoy. Pretty recently.
Paul, no foul. Z weaves through, lay it, missed it. Rebound, Nance. Throw it up the floor, Zion. This will be showtime. 360 left hand punch. That's a dunk contest dunk.
Shout out Graf on the call there. Man, that was fun, wasn't it?
That was so much fun. That was like Zion releasing all the frustrations from him and the entire fan base from over the past year, really year and a half. And as soon as Larry threw the outlet, I knew he was going to do it. And the dunk itself was unbelievable. Like Graf said, that was a dunk contest dunk. Yep. And the Suns got a little salty after that, but the Pelicans have definitely built on what they did last year. They didn't even technically have a winning record, but you can tell they've carried over the momentum from the play-in, from at least competing with the Phoenix Suns. And as we speak, they're first place in the Western Conference.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, look, another great sports memory you have from 2022 was the game Wednesday night. If you're talking about Pelicans, what Zion Williamson did, and for me, officially really launched the Zion for MVP campaign. One more for you, though, Mario, basketball-related, not Pelicans, but let's go back to March and relive the upset of the NCAA tournament.
Wheeler gives it up. Brooks, the jumper. No good. You can feel the madness. St. Peter's pulls off the upset.
15 over a number 2. And then St. Peter's, not only they upset Kentucky, right, blue blood, they go on an insane run that almost carried them to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, the upset over Purdue was a lot of fun. We had early line when the tournament was happening this past year, and you saw the videos of me in Vegas.
Yeah.
I enjoyed some of the wins from St. Peter's, and what they did was really memorable. That's really what March is all about. And I know you want some time for Tigers and the Pros in the next segment. We don't have to play any clips, but the Saints beating the Falcons in the first game of the season for New Orleans was a lot of fun. I got to travel to Atlanta to broadcast that game, and for a moment, it looked like the Dennis Allen era was maybe going to work out. It looked like Jameis Winston would have a lot of success here at last. That was not to be, but that was a fun night in Atlanta.
It was. Man, we all had so much hope then, didn't we?
We did.
We all just like, oh, if they can build off that second half, that's what we all thought it would look like. And then, nope.
Well,
nope.
2023 starts in a couple days.
Yes, it does.
Hopefully it can go a little better for the Saints. Those are some of our favorite memories from the past year. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2 with Tigers and the Pros. This is AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
If you are even thinking about selling your home, I'm going to give you a phone number. I'm going to give you the only phone number that you will need. I'm going to give you Darren James's phone number. It's Darren's cell. Like, you can call this number, you can text this number, and you are literally calling or texting the phone number that Darren James has in his pocket or on his hip. I'm talking about the realtor that sells more homes than anybody. A guy on the Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1,000 realtors in America based on the number of homes sold. You ready? 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Of course, you can go to the website, agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need to maximize your return on the home, you want a hassle-free, pleasant experience, you need Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Agent225.com.
Corval Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corval Toyota family to yours.
Nearly half of children in foster care drop out of school. But you can rewrite that story. Children and youth with CASA and GAL volunteers are more likely to succeed in school. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community. We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. 24 hours after a juvenile burglary suspect managed to get away from an East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's deputy, the search continues for his whereabouts. Sources say the 15-year-old had stolen a car and was being processed for that crime when he got away from the deputy. He took off on foot near Airline and Goodwood. The latest on the search and what neighbors had to say. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on After Further Review. Mario Jerez, Matt Musso, Danny Cardenas. Got a couple minutes. Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Let's go ahead and start with Thursday Night Football last night. The Cowboys, they got the victory over the Tennessee Titans. Damone Clark turned in a really nice day for Dallas on defense. Third leading tackler for the Cowboys with 5, also including 1 tackle for a loss. Over on the other side for the Tennessee Titans, Racey McMath.
Hey.
Pretty solid day.
Haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, how about that? One reception for 39 yards off of 2 targets, but also McMath rounded up a tackle in the game. So get you a guy who can do both. That's Racey McMath. No statistics recorded for Christian Fulton. NBA action last night. The Dallas Mavericks put it on the Houston Rockets. Then again, everybody puts it on the Houston Rockets. They aren't very good yet. Very young team. Part of that youth is rookie Tari Eason.
Hey.
Another solid game for Tari. 18 minutes off the bench. Shot 3 of 7 from the floor. 8 rebounds, 6 points, and an assist in the game for Tari. A little bit of foul trouble with 3, but nothing that's too bad. You know, Mario, he's leading the Rockets in steals per game.
How about it?
Good defender, right?
Yeah, he is. And I know the Rockets, Tari, they don't have a good record right now, but they're a very young team. Like, once Jalen Green, now they have Jabari Smith, get some reps together, they could make some noise in the future.
They could. It's one to watch. So nice outing for Tari Eason. That's Tigers in the Pros, brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
Okay, while we have a minute, I can say my comment that I was going to say when you were talking about the Thursday night game. Hey, television directors, if a backup quarterback is in a game and he doesn't normally play and you want to show his parents in the crowd, that's cool. But maybe after the 5th or 6th time, realize that the audience gets the memo. On the Thursday night game, who was playing for the Cardinals? McSorley?
Yeah,
McSorley. They showed his father like 17 times. Me and my girlfriend started taking shots every time they showed the backup quarterback's parents.
Did you know that Kim Mulkey was Kramer Robertson's mom?
Oh, my goodness.
That's what that just reminded me of. Whenever you said that, that's what that reminded me of. But it's all right. Look, it's all in the LSU family now, right? Shout out Kim Mulkey and the LSU women's basketball team. They're tearing it up. They're running roughshod over folks, bro.
Hell yeah. Big win for them the other day. We will talk more basketball in the third hour. We'll come back and talk to David Cobb of CBS Sports. Stay tuned for that here on AFR.
AFR.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has made progress in concussion protocol, but he will not play against the Patriots on Sunday. Teddy Bridgewater starts in Tua's place. Eagles continue to contemplate whether quarterback Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew starts against the Saints. Hurts, though, listed as doubtful with an injury to his throwing shoulder. Philadelphia needs to think big picture and sit Hurts a second straight game, suggests ESPN's Herm Edwards.
I wouldn't play him. I'd wait till the last game and play him. I wouldn't be worried about playing him right now. I'd wait another week. You need him in the playoffs. This guy can help you go where you want to go. And you want home field advantage.
Herm Edwards on Canty and Carlin. The Eagles clinched the NFC East and NFC top seed with a win. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson will miss a fourth straight game with a knee injury. Tyler Huntley's expected to start against the Steelers this week. Despite Jackson's absence, Baltimore is still alive in the race for the AFC North title. Free agent Cristiano Ronaldo has joined Saudi Arabian soccer club Al Nassr. He'll receive $75 million a year as part of the deal.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
This is hour number 3 of After Further Review. Mario Jerez alongside Matt Musso. Danny Cardenas here getting us on YouTube. Got some bowl games on the television. Bad beat for Matt Musso. Pittsburgh gets the win over UCLA, 37-35. Also got a good one going on in the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl right now. A tie game, 24-all between Notre Dame and South Carolina. Time now to keep the college football discussion going with our final guest of today's program, our good friend David Cobb of CBS Sports, covers college football and basketball. We'll get into both a little bit here today. David, it's been a minute. How are you, my friend?
Hey, guys, I'm doing well. Had a nice Christmas, and hey, lots of sports to dive into this weekend. So excited about that.
Yes, sir. As are we, and we've seen some exciting sports the last couple of days, mostly college football bowl season, and we've had some fun games. Oklahoma, Florida State last night was a lot of fun. The game between Arkansas and who were they playing? The onside kick.
Kansas. That game was insane.
Yes, we've had some really fun games, and we mentioned this Pitt UCLA game that me and Musso were both sweating a second ago. Has anything really caught your attention so far here in bowl season?
I mean, they've been entertaining contests. We always get the hand-wringing this time of year, the disgust over players opting out and teams playing under interim coaches and whatnot. But honestly, I've been more captivated with this bowl season than I have with the last few. I actually think the games, for the most part, have been pretty quality. Like, I'm sitting here watching South Carolina and Notre Dame, and I'm thoroughly entertained right now. So I'm kind of just hoping that keeps up through these playoff semifinals. You know, it's a case where there's not really a pick 'em in either game. It's two games with fairly significant point spreads. So maybe Vegas doesn't think that we're going to get a close game tomorrow in the playoffs, but I hope that it follows the trend that we've seen so far this bowl season, and we get some pretty intriguing matchups.
David, the New Year's Six kicks off tonight with the Orange Bowl, Clemson and Tennessee, which, I mean, on paper is just a very, very appetizing matchup. We get to see the first start for Cade Klubnik at Clemson. I mean, he's been electric anytime they've put him in the game. Obviously, Tennessee had higher aspirations, but given where their program has been, for them to now be in the New Year's Six, it's still a very solid consolation prize, given they still don't have Hendon Hooker, and that was a really tough way for their season to end. But do you have a thought on that game tonight, Clemson and Tennessee? Should be a good one.
Yeah, it should be. I worry about Tennessee a little bit because I actually picked Tennessee to win, but I worry about Tennessee from the standpoint of how important Hendon Hooker was to them all season long. I don't know if there was a quarterback who was more important to their team than Hendon Hooker was to Tennessee this year. But Joe Milton filled in against Vanderbilt. They won that game pretty easily to end the season. And I think this game means more to Tennessee than it does to Clemson. Clemson's a program that's been at the summit of college football for quite a while now and has played in games even larger than this one. Tennessee, that's not the case. So when it comes to bowl games, I often just look at the motivation factor. And the reality is that Tennessee, even without Hooker, should be far more motivated, I think, to go out there and play its best game against Clemson, because this is an Orange Bowl spot that Tennessee hadn't been in a bowl of this caliber since probably 2001. Maybe even you might have to go all the way back to, I think, 99, the year after they won the national championship, and they ended up in a New Year's Day bowl that next season. But I like that element of this matchup for Tennessee. From what I've gathered, it sounds like they're going to have a massive advantage in terms of the crowd. Although you might not be able to tell, considering that both teams are the same color. But I don't know. Even without Hooker, I just kind of think Tennessee is going to be motivated, ready to go out there. And let's not forget, it's Klubnik's first career start. So that's a tough spot, right, to make your your first career start. So anyway, I'm kind of cautiously leaning towards Tennessee because of those reasons.
And David is a Tennessee guy. You're an alum, if I'm not mistaken. So I know you lived
Well,
this.
now you got to out me like that. Now everybody knows.
Well, I'm just making the point that you've lived this season, man. Like everything you were just saying for Tennessee, who hasn't really been this competitive in a long time. Like, I know it didn't work out the way they wanted it to, and I know South Carolina was flying a little banner to kind of rub it in their face over there in the bowl game. But still a really fun season to be a Tennessee fan, Tennessee alum, and I'm sure they still have a really good future over there with Josh Heupel. South Carolina just scored to take the lead against Notre Dame, 30-24, although they are reviewing the play. While we're on the subject, what do you make of Shane Beamer, now 2 seasons at South Carolina? Got some big wins, really, both seasons, but to close out the year the way they did this season, if they can add this bowl game victory to it, would give South Carolina a lot of momentum going into next year.
Yeah, no doubt. Shane Beamer has a lot of haters, and I'm not sure I totally understand it. I think he's pretty fun. He's actually got a personality, which you really can't say for many SEC head coaches. I think he's a breath of fresh air. He's not afraid to call people out when they're wrong, but he's also fair. He's level-headed. He seems fairly humble. And I think he would tell you maybe some people don't like him because he wouldn't be in this spot if his dad wasn't Frank Beamer, the legendary former Virginia Tech head coach. I think he would probably agree with that. Yeah, of course it helped him to grow up with a father who was a legendary college football coach. But you know what? Shane Beamer had to work to get where he is, and he's proven in 2 seasons in South Carolina that he's a pretty good coach. So they, in my mind, have exceeded expectations. And the close to their season, you mentioned that banner that the South Carolina fans have flown down in Miami today, kind of poking fun at Tennessee and Clemson. I mean, go find me a better close to the regular season in college football than what South Carolina did, beating Tennessee and Clemson and now having a chance to beat Notre Dame in a bowl game. So that would just be really a tremendous end of the season for South Carolina. And at a time when outside of Georgia, the SEC East is gettable. Tennessee's going to be replacing a star quarterback next season, and Florida is really struggling to this point under Billy Napier. So there's a window here for South Carolina to sort of reclaim that prominence they used to have in the SEC under Steve Spurrier back in the day.
Shane Beamer has consistently overachieved so far, and I'm wondering when the expectations from the rest of the country, kind of what you're talking about there, match up with his own expectations in South Carolina, because it's been a gangbuster start to his tenure there. David, you mentioned the college football playoff earlier here in this segment, and how you thought the games might be a little bit closer than Vegas has the lines pegged. Let's talk college football playoff. Let's start with the first game we'll see tomorrow in the playoff, and that's TCU Michigan.
Yeah, I think TCU is getting sort of a short end of the stick from the national folks here. Why are we still doubting TCU? This is a team that went through the regular season undefeated in the Big 12. As Sonny Dykes pointed out this week, when you're in the Big 12, you don't get to play Rice in Week 9, right? Like some of these SEC teams do, because they only play an 8-game conference schedule. I mean, the Big 12 is a grind week in, week out. TCU on numerous occasions was actually an underdog, managed to find a way to win. But what I really like about the Horned Frogs is their offensive skill. I mean, I think their offensive skill is better than Michigan. Now that you look at Michigan without Blake Corum, who was a Heisman Trophy candidate running back out for the season due to injury, look at TCU's skill positions. In particular, I love Quentin Johnston. I mean, he is a NFL caliber wide receiver for the Horned Frogs, and of course, everybody knows Max Duggan. And then in the run game, they're solid as well. I mean, Kendre Miller and Steve Mercado. I mean, those are two legit backs. And obviously, Michigan still has Donovan Edwards, but they're gonna lean on Donovan Edwards and ask him to carry a huge load in this game. And if he can't do that, I think TCU is dynamic enough to certainly hang with Michigan, if not win the game outright.
I'm with you. I think TCU having Duggan's a big advantage for them, and I think they can hang around, if not win that game. Moving on to the next matchup, as we're talking college football here with David Cobb of CBS Sports. Georgia begins its defense of the college football playoff from last season. They're taking on number 4 Ohio State, and we talked a little bit about this game earlier in the show. I don't think Ohio State's defense can hang with Georgia, whether you're talking about their running game or the passing game that they have with Browers and the wide receivers there catching passes from Stetson Bennett. So how do you view the matchup between the Bulldogs and the Buckeyes on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Georgia's offense doesn't get enough credit for how dynamic it is. So they don't have those home run threats on the outside. They don't have a Quentin Johnston, like TCU does. They certainly don't have a Marvin Harrison Jr. like Ohio State does. But that is the only knock on Georgia, is that they don't have elite perimeter wide receivers. However, they have just about everything else you could possibly ask for in an offense, including some dynamic pass catchers. I mean, the tight end, Brock Bowers, the best tight end in the country. They line him up everywhere, including the backfield. Ladd McConkey is not your prototypical NFL draft prospect, but he and Stetson Bennett just have an unbelievable connection. And then the thing about Georgia that makes them so difficult to prepare for is the fact that they will go under center. They'll go with pace, but then they'll back off and go huddle. They'll go out of the shotgun. They'll line up with multiple tight ends who can line up in multiple different positions. Or you know what? They'll run the ball with. They've got 3 backs who are over 500 yards on the season. Those backs are also good pass catchers. There's just so many different things that Georgia can do to you, and that makes it really hard to prepare for them as a defense. So, yeah, I mean, Ohio State's defense has taken a step forward this year under Jim Knowles. There's no doubt about that, but they were exposed against Michigan. And I just like the number of ways in which Georgia can attack them. And I think they'll find something that works. They'll probably stick with it, and I think it's going to be hard for Ohio State to keep up.
David, before we let you go, I'm not going to ask you about the Citrus Bowl because Purdue has like 20,000 opt-outs, and I think everyone expects LSU to at least win the game. They should win the game. I more so would like a thought on year one under Brian Kelly for LSU, where they certainly seem to have exceeded many's expectations.
Yeah, anytime you win the SEC West, you're doing something right. And especially when you do that in year one of a coach's tenure. I mean, that's incredibly impressive. So honestly, the thing that comes back to for me is the eye that Brian Kelly had for Jaden Daniels. Because at the time when he left Arizona State and committed to LSU, I thought, boy, that makes no sense. It really didn't make any sense because Walker Howard and Nussmeier and Miles Brennan, 3 scholarship quarterbacks, either highly touted or already proven in the case of Brennan. And it's like, man, where does Jaden Daniels, who has struggled for the last 2 seasons at Arizona State, fit in that picture? And you just have to give Brian Kelly and that staff a ton of credit for understanding how he could help LSU mask some of the flaws that they might have. And primarily he did that through his mobility. And then as the season went on, he became a more comfortable passer. Obviously was playing through injuries there for quite a bit later in the season. So that's what sticks out to me more than anything is the eye they had for Jaden Daniels, the fact that they were able to get him in there and get him playing like the star that he was as a freshman at Arizona State back in 2019.
Appreciate the insight, David, and I'm with you on Jaden Daniels. He's definitely surpassed my expectations, and now I'm at a point where I'm glad he's coming back next season. Before you leave, wanted to ask you about Pelicans Grizzlies tomorrow. When I met you, we were both waiting to interview Marc Gasol, and I'm sure you still follow Memphis. How could you not? They're a really fun team. For once, it looks like Zion and Ja Morant will both be on the court at the same time, which I'm looking forward to. Any thoughts on that game and maybe what's becoming a budding rivalry in the Western Conference?
Yeah, I dig it. No, ironically, Mario, when we were waiting to interview Marc Gasol, that was probably about a month before he ended up getting traded to the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
And who did the Grizzlies bring back in that trade? None other than Jonas Valanciunas, who now plays for the Pelicans. I love JV. He was a delight to cover, as I'm sure you guys have learned. He's a great dude. Obviously, that's a subplot to the game. The old Jonas Valanciunas versus Steven Adams battle of the bruisers there. That's fun as well. But boy, ja and Zion finally, I don't know, this rivalry coming into its own with these two teams at the top of the Western Conference. Super fun, especially, given their history as former AAU teammates and whatnot. So I'm ready for that new guard, man. I'm kind of sick of the Warriors. I'm sick of Clay and his antics and whatnot. So I'm ready. I'm ready for that new era in the West, man. The Grizzlies and the Pelicans are doing their part to usher it in.
Hell yeah. Should be a lot of fun in Memphis tomorrow. David, thank you so much for taking the time. I hope you have a very happy new year, and I hope to talk to you again, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, David.
Yes, sir. David Cobb of CBS Sports giving us some insight, college football, and a little bit of Pelicans there towards the end. Speaking of, let's preview this game between the Sixers and New Orleans tonight inside of the Smoothie King Center. We'll do that on the other side of this break. This is After Further Review, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 1 more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luber for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, 288-8138, 288-8138, or ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, vinyl siding, they do it all. And at Relief Windows, they will never take $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work. Seriously, no deposit, no down payment. They do not want $1 from you until you are thrilled with the work that they do. That's Relief Windows. And what a time of year. We are moving to the winter months, and this is the time of year when those leaky, drafty windows can become costly. Of course, lets the cold air in, the warm air from your heater out. Make your home more energy efficient. Lower your monthly energy bills. Increase your home's resale value with energy efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows. 288-8138 or reliefwindows.com.
Musso, just like Moscona is thrilled about Relief Windows, I'm thrilled about what the New Orleans Pelicans are doing right now. 22-12 as we speak. First place in the Western Conference, currently on a 4-game winning streak. They welcome the 76ers into the Smoothie King Center tonight. It's somewhat of a late tip. 7:30 from the Smoothie King Center. And before anything, I think we should just go over the injury report first for the Pelicans. Still no Brandon Ingram. We don't know when he will be back. Gave us an update yesterday. Says he's still not himself. Talked about it a little bit with Antonio Daniels, having trouble pushing off, and it looks like he'll be reevaluated sometime next week. But as far as what we know ahead of tonight, Larry Nance, doubtful for the Pelicans. He has neck spasms, which don't sound fun at all. Herb Jones, questionable for New Orleans with return to competition conditioning. So it looks like he's not sick anymore, just trying to get back into basketball shape before he goes back on the court. But the good news is even if he can't play, the Pelicans have Dyson Daniels, and he's kind of filling that same role right now. So the Pelicans are a deep team. That being said, it would be good news if they get Herb Jones back tonight.
It'd be great. I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. It feels like he's in the very beginning stages of the return. Like you said, not sick anymore. Maybe potentially in the second game against the Sixers when you go to Philly, I believe on Monday, correct? That game is Monday. I think is maybe a potential spot to see Herb Jones. Obviously, look, you'd love to have him out there tonight. But look, You mentioned Dyson Daniels. The Pelicans' depth, I mean, it's just been talked about over and over and over and over again, and with good reason. They're the deepest team in the NBA, so if there's one that can withstand a few injuries, even going up against a quality opponent, a playoff caliber opponent like the Philadelphia 76ers, it's the New Orleans Pelicans. Mario, something I want to touch on is just, and I know you and I had this conversation off air earlier this week. It was it was before the Timberwolves game. New Orleans did exactly what they needed to do in that last stretch. And that's huge because of what you have coming up now. 2 games in 3 days against the Sixers and a game with the Grizzlies sandwiched in between that. And then lurking down the way is another matchup with the Brooklyn Nets. You have playoff teams 4 out of the next 5 if you're New Orleans. You had won 7 in a row. You lost 4 in a row. And, yeah, look, you let a few get away in that, right? The second game against Utah, the game at Phoenix. But then you had the schedule lighten up a little bit for 4 games. You could get them all back. They did exactly that. Now you're right back where you were, 10 games above 500, first in the Western Conference, heading into a very difficult stretch, but one that New Orleans, you're getting healthier for, and that's a good thing when it comes to Zion being back or Trey Murphy being back and Herb on the mend. That's a good sign for New Orleans.
I'd like to see them keep that momentum when the schedule does toughen up, because if you look at it, the Pelicans as it sits have a 14-1 record against losing teams at 500 or below, but they have a losing record against teams that are over 500. So it's a small sample size. We're not halfway through the season, but I would like to see that clip get better. The good news is you're welcoming a team into the Smoothie King Center tonight that does have a winning record. And the Sixers, as we speak, are 20-13. They have the star power as well. James Harden, not the James Harden from 4 years ago, but still having a really good season. In their last game against the Wizards, although it was a loss, he put up 26 points, 13 assists, and Joel Embiid had 48 points in that game. In my opinion, he should have won the MVP last season over Nikola Jokic, but the Sixers have star power, and we talked about it a minute ago. It looks like they're getting one of their role players back in Tyrese Maxey, and this is one of their better role players, someone who on the season in 15 games is putting up 23 points per game, 4.4 assists per contest, and he's shooting 42.2% from the three-point line. So it's going to start with stopping Joel Embiid, obviously, but the Sixers have a little bit of balance to them as well.
They do. And, look, AD touched on it earlier when he was with us. For all the work they're going to have to put in to stop Zion Williamson, the Pelicans are going to have to do the same thing with Joel Embiid. And it'll be interesting to see with Tyrese Maxey if he can make a return tonight, because that adds another dimension to Philly. But, I mean, the season that Joel Embiid is putting up, is turning in so far this year is otherworldly, much like Zion Williamson. So that's another reason to get fired up for this one. You got the star power on both sides, and both teams are going to look to move their offense through those 2 guys.
And I'm excited specifically. I don't know if Dyson's going to get the start. We'll see which starting 5 they go with tonight. But I'm pumped to see him match up with James Harden tonight. He's had some really good moments against some of the better players in the league. And it doesn't matter what position they play. He's gotten a strip against Chris Paul. He's gotten a strip against LeBron James. You could add Luka Doncic to that list as well. I want to see what he can do against James Harden, a player that has no fear. And it doesn't matter what his minutes are. It doesn't matter what he's doing in the box score. Dyson Daniels has played some awesome basketball as a rookie. And as much as we talked about Zion in that last game, and you and I talked about this in the hallway, the Pelicans might not win that game against Minnesota without Dyson Daniels and the plays he made in the final minute. Getting the offensive rebound before Zion made the go-ahead free throws, and then defensively playing really good defense against Anthony Edwards, forcing him to the baseline and making him take a tough jump shot. I love what I'm seeing out of Dyson Daniels right now, and his offense still needs to come along a little bit, but defensively, he's doing things an NBA rookie should not do.
Reminiscent of last year, huh?
Yes.
It feels like it, right? With Herb as a rookie doing so well, Trey Murphy as a rookie, Jose Alvarado, your 3 rookies, and you have another one in Dyson Daniels. He's been awesome. The defense has been one thing, but, man, he's even shown a nice little jump shot from time to time as well. Dyson, the potential there is great. It feels almost kind of unlimited with this, just the skill set he's already shown off and what with this coaching staff, how they've developed players already, what they can do with him. Thank you, Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, that's really all you have to say about that one, right?
Shout out. They continue to lose. And you compare him to Herb, which he is a lot like Herb. Me and Haney have called him Herb Jones Light on his show. But his situation reminds me a lot of Trey Murphy last season, because Trey Murphy came into the league a really good offensive player. You can argue the best shooter on the team at the start of last season, but he wasn't really getting the minutes early on in the season. His offense had to come along, or his defense had to come along, and it did. By the end of the season, you saw what he did. He was contributing in those play-in games, and in the postseason. With Dyson, it's the same thing, but vice versa, right? Defensively, he can hang with anybody, but offensively, not just shooting, but making the correct passes, knowing when to pass, when to be aggressive, when to get dribble penetration, that needs to come along for him. But I think it will. And similar to Trey Murphy last season, I think by the time we get to the end of the year, Dyson Daniels could have a bigger role.
I mean, yeah, look, the reps he's getting or the experience, it's invaluable. I mean, you can't put a price on it. He's only going to continue to get better. And, yeah, when it comes playoff time, Dyson Daniels is going to be a huge, huge part of this team. That is, to be able to have Herb Jones and him on the same team is a luxury.
And I'm curious to see how they try to slow down Joel Embiid tonight. Jonas Valanciunas in the past has had some good games against him, but the Pelicans could throw him a bunch of looks. You have Jackson Hayes, who's been playing really well.
Yeah, man.
Hernan Gomez can give you good minutes if need be. I'm excited to see the Pelicans kind of take on the challenge of stopping arguably the best offensive player in the NBA, and it should be a good one tonight. Pelicans 76ers. Rebounding will be key, especially defensively for the Pelicans. Down the stretch in some of these losses, they've played good defense, but they haven't been able to rebound the basketball. Keeping Joel Embiid off the glass tonight, especially on that end, is going to be very important.
Second chance points have killed New Orleans. I mean, it is, yes, and it's maddening to watch. Now, they did a great job on Wednesday night limiting that, and it's pretty good rebounders for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I believe, I don't have the box score right in front of me, but I believe it was 6 offensive rebounds they allowed in that game. That's it. That's elite in the NBA. It's going to be tougher against Joel Embiid. The guy's averaging a double-double, by the way. But that's key. And also, look, turnovers. The Pelicans have got to limit turnovers, specifically their live ball turnovers. They have a lot of live ball turnovers, and that gets them into trouble. They did a very nice job, again, with that as well against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and for what it's worth, against the Indiana Pacers as well. But that's two keys outside of stopping Joel Embiid, because it's cliche. You kind of just hope to contain him, really, at this point with the run that he's on. But if you can limit second chance points for the Sixers and limit your live ball turnovers, New Orleans is a good shot, especially playing in that building, Mario. That's something that can't be overlooked either.
Especially on a Friday. Like AD was saying, doesn't matter the time of day, doesn't matter the opponent, but you had the 76ers coming down here on a Friday while the team's on a 4-game winning streak, while they're first place in the Western Conference. Yeah, the blender is going to be lively tonight, and I'm looking forward to it.
15-4, New Orleans at home. 15-4 at home. I mean, they have been a completely different team playing in that building. And look, Philadelphia, looking at it right here, they're 6-8. I mean, it's a good record on the road, but it is a sub-500 record. This is an important game for New Orleans, given what you have coming up. You need to get this one tonight. Philly actually is a short favorite in this game, minus $1.20 on the money line, and then -1 for the spread. So, I mean, look, it's virtual pick'em there, but you need to get this one because you have a tough back-to-back. Going to Memphis tomorrow night is brutal, and then you stay on the road and face this same Sixers team again. This is one you really, really need to get.
Willie Green taking on the team that drafted him tonight as his Pelicans take on the 76ers. 7:30 tip from the Smoothie King Center. That'll do it for me here on AFR. Musso will drive you home the final 2 segments. Musso, Danny, I hope y'all have an excellent weekend. I hope y'all have an excellent new year. It's been a lot of fun. Cheers to 2023.
Cheers to 2023. Mario, enjoy the game tonight. Flock up.
Hell yeah. Flock up, my friend. Also, listen to the Flock Up podcast. New episode last night. We recapped the Minnesota game. We previewed this game. Listen to Flock Up Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Guaranteed Podcast Network. That'll do it for me. I am off to New Orleans. Stay tuned with Musso and Danny for the rest of the show. This is AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Black Widow Jeep Gladiators in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Nearly half of children in foster care drop out of school. But you can rewrite that story. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Look, you got so much to bet on right now. College football bowl games going on. The NBA, NFL season is in full swing, of course, as we move toward the playoffs. You can bet on all of it at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Remember, all throughout the month of December, I've been telling you about this amazing promo from DraftKings. If you're a Pels fan, how about a no-sweat bet on every Pels game in the month of December? That's right. Make a bet on, you got to opt in. Okay, so go to the app, the DraftKings app, got to opt in, and you got to use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a no-sweat bet. Bet any Pels game, every Pels game, all throughout the month of December. If you lose, no worries. They'll give you your money back in a free bet at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Get engaged, y'all. So much going on right now with bowl season here, the NBA, every single night of the week. Bet like I do with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select areas only. Max reward limits apply. One free bet issued based on amount of initial bet. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537.
Coming down the home stretch here. Friday show after further review. Last show of 2022. Coming down the home stretch of the show. Coming down the home stretch of the year, as a matter of fact. Couple segments left. Give you some final thoughts on Saints Eagles here, and then final thoughts LSU Purdue to close out the show. But again, as I said, we'll start with the New Orleans Saints. Run through the injury report again quickly for you. The big news is Jalen Hurts for Philly. Doubtful is his status. Of course, he's dealing with the right shoulder injury. It kept him out of the game against Dallas last week. Gardner Minshew filled in and played pretty well, honestly, in relief. Did not practice on Wednesday. Jalen Hurts returned Thursday in a limited fashion, was again limited today. How limited, that really is the question. It could have just been going through some conditioning things because his status is doubtful. With his status doubtful, I am not expecting to see Jalen Hurts out there for Philadelphia. I would expect to see Gardner Minshew. Now, that's obviously huge because Jalen Hurts, as we said earlier in the show, has done great things with his arm, with his legs in general this year. I mean, he's the leading candidate for MVP of the league and should be. But specifically against the New Orleans Saints, his legs not being out there is massive because he has just been a thorn in the side, a kryptonite, so to speak, as well for this Saints rush defense, even when it's been much better than it is this year. Miles Sanders, another thorn in the side for the Saints rush defense the past couple of seasons, was full practice today. Did not practice Wednesday. Limited Thursday, was full practice today. Expect to see him. How effective will he be maybe without Jalen Hurts by his side remains to be seen, but that is a solid running back. And again, the Saints have struggled defending the run. So advantage offense, Philly there, obviously. Gardner Minshew showed against Dallas that Philly offense doesn't miss a beat. They're still going to put up points. So New Orleans is going to have to score in this game. And they got some good news today with Alvin Kamara returning to practice. Alvin Kamara dealing with a personal issue. That seems to have been taken care of, at least enough for him to return to practice today. And he shall play on Sunday, and that's massive. Because when the New Orleans Saints offense has been at its best this year, Alvin Kamara has been a massive part of the game plan. You need him in order to succeed offensively again against an Eagles team that's going to score points. Otherwise, who knows what you would have done at running back. You would have maybe seen David Johnson get 20 carries, and that would not have been ideal. Marcus May is out. I think that's a bit of a big deal, especially with Gardner Minshew throwing the football much more than maybe the Eagles' offense would in a normal situation. They like to lean on that run, rightfully so. And then Marshawn Lattimore, he's questionable again. I'm anxious to see if this is finally the game and if it's even worth it. Both teams have a lot on the line. The New Orleans Saints, with their playoff hopes, quote unquote. I mean, sure, yes, technically, mathematically, there's a chance. It's an uphill climb. We've talked a lot about it this week. First and foremost, they have to win. They need help, but none of it matters if they don't win. New Orleans has to win their last two games. That's really all you need to know. If they lose, they're out, and it's over then. And this is certainly an uphill climb. For the Eagles, man, you wish that they could have beaten the Dallas Cowboys last week. Because then they have everything wrapped up. They have the number one seed. They've won the NFC East. And maybe they rest guys. And you can steal a victory. But that's not the case. They have everything left to play for. A motivated Eagles team seeking the number one seed in the NFC, seeking an NFC East title. That's what you're running up against. That's not ideal. Now, again, that's kind of just par for the course with the New Orleans Saints season this year. A lot of things have gone against you in that regard, where you have a player, maybe a key player, maybe getting traded to a team the week you play them, and then they impact the game well. Think of the Arizona game, for instance, with that. A guy who's been out for a long time, come back against the New Orleans Saints, play well. This is just another hurdle that they're going to have to overcome. A very motivated Eagles team with everything to play for. And while they might not have their starting quarterback, they're still going to score. And for that reason, I like Philadelphia to win the game and to end the Saints season effectively. Yeah, they'll have one more game, but they'll finally be mathematically eliminated. I'd pick the Eagles 24-14 in this ball game. And I think they get it done, and that's it for the New Orleans Saints in 2022. And you'll go into the Carolina game knowing that that'll be the last game of the season. Now, if they somehow pull it off, we have a very interesting conversation next week, then, don't we? Because the Saints, not only are they still alive for the division, there is a wacky wild card situation where the Commanders need to lose 2 games, the Packers need to lose, the Seahawks need to lose. There's one more team, and I cannot remember who it is off the top of my head. I do not have it in front of me. But they need about 5 losses, 5-6 losses from other teams total combined to sneak into the wild card. But again, they have to win. I don't think they do. Give me the Eagles 24-14. And then all focuses can really shift to the offseason, and it'll be a very interesting one in New Orleans, won't it? I mean, if what we've seen so far is any indication with all the Sean Payton rumors, what's going to happen with Dennis Allen, I've told you I think he's back for another year. There's plenty of other reasons. Now, while I don't think it was a successful year for him as a head coach, there's other reasons as well that things didn't happen. But ancillary to that, you also have quarterback. That's going to be a huge conversation. What do the Saints do with their lack of draft capital right now as well? So it's going to set up for a very, 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 very interesting offseason for the New Orleans Saints, and I expect that to really kind of get underway after Sunday, after a third straight trip to Philadelphia, which is stupid, by the way. NFL schedule needs to improve. But there it is. So Saints, Eagles, I'll take the Eagles 24-14. We will grab a final break, come back on the other side, close out after further review, close out 2022 here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and we'll do that talking LSU Purdue. Final thoughts on the Citrus Bowl as the Tigers look to close out year 1 under Brian Kelly with a 10-win season. That's on the other side. It's after further review. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. As we move toward the new year, of course, Rouse's is a great option for everything you need in and around the new year for that gathering or just for your groceries every single day. Get to Rouse's and go to rouses.com. You can learn about their delivery and pickup options there at rouses.com. It's super easy. Or download the Rouse's app. You can go select your items. Your personal shopper will go pick them out for you. You pull up into any Rouse's location, of course, the designated location, and your shopper will bring the items out to your car, so you don't even have to get out the car. On days when it's either freezing cold or raining, that's super handy. And remember, they also have a delivery option as well, so if you don't even want to get in your car or get out, Rouse's takes care of you there as well. It's at Rouse's. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Locations all over the place. Get to Rouse's. Rouse's, this feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Cornell Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corvell Toyota family to yours.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, final segment here in 2022 for After Further Review. Been a good week, man. Of course, Matt's been out all week. Filled in Tuesday, Thursday, and today. Ronnie Rants on Tuesday. Thanks to everybody who joined us as well throughout the week to help put together the shows. Feel like it's been a pretty good week. And now we send you off into the new year. Let's talk some LSU Purdue before we get out of here, though. Tigers and Boilermakers, Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. It's a noon p.m. kickoff on Monday, January the 2nd. For us, it'll be a full day of programming, as is a game day. We treat it like a Saturday in the fall, so no local shows here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. You can join Hanny and I live from Rouse's on Burbank and Lee for Eagle 98.1 game day pregame. Airtime there, 8 a.m. Go to 10, 8 to 10, 2 hours on the front. Hand it off to the LSU Sports Radio Network. They'll take care of you all the way up until kickoff, and then obviously broadcast the game. After the game, normal schedule there. Matt and T-Bob over at Don Juan Cigar Bar, presenting sponsor of today's show, for whiskey and wine. And then Hanny is back at Rouse's on Burbank and Lee for Eagle 98.1 postgame. Be joined by former Tiger tight end Richard Dixon to put a button on the Brian Kelly era and hopefully in victory. LSU Purdue, it's a 14.5-point line in favor of LSU. We all know the story with Purdue, right? Jeff Brom out the door to Louisville, took some assistants with him already. There are assistants that after this game against LSU will pack their bags and go join Jeff Brom in Louisville. There's been a whole host of opt-outs. Their two leading receivers, including the nation's leader in receptions and receiving yards for Purdue, Aiden O'Connell, their 6th-year quarterback, is sitting out, so you'll get Austin Burton. And it doesn't just stop there on the defensive side of the ball as well. You've got some opt-outs in the secondary. They're really thin at linebacker. LSU, again, obviously not to be outdone. They have their own opt-outs on the defensive side of the ball. We know the story with Kayshon Boutte now. He won't be not only in the bowl game, but at LSU anymore, declaring for the NFL draft. But LSU still has plenty of firepower on offense, I think, to attack a shorthanded Purdue defense. When we talked to Sam King yesterday, who covers the Boilermakers, he mentioned that he believes this game is tailor-made for a quarterback like Jaden Daniels. Jalen Daniels is over at Kansas. Like Jaden Daniels, because of the mobility, because of the versatility that he brings. That should make you feel great if you are an LSU fan. That's when LSU's offense has been at its best. When Jaden Daniels has been able to create, when he has been able to make something out of nothing more often than not, and that looks like this could be the case in this one. You're healthy if you're LSU on the offensive side of the ball. A guy like Josh Williams, who suffered some injuries late. A guy like Jaden Daniels, who suffered some injuries late. Those seem to be remedied. That's a great sign. And then something I've said all week is you get to see the rough draft of the 2023 LSU Fighting Tigers, who are slated to be pretty darn good. So that adds intrigue to the game for me. Winning this is extremely, extremely important. You want to get that 10th win. It's not, if you don't, all of us here, there might be a sour taste in the mouth, but all of us who followed this team closely all year, we understand what a successful season this is. And 10 wins doesn't necessarily change that. But 10 wins is that benchmark in college football. And you're right on the doorstep of it, and you've been right on the doorstep of it now for the better part of a month. It's time to go do it. Sure, we'll all know what a successful year it was, but nobody wants to stare at 3 L's to close the season. Heading into the next year. So go get the win. LSU should. I like the Tigers to win this game. I like the Tigers to cover. Give me LSU by 17 over Purdue. I think Purdue comes and shows and fights. I think that team's going to want to be there. They're going to want to win for Brian Braun because, let's be honest, he's probably out the door as well after. So they'll want to send him out a winner. But in the end, I think there is a little too much to overcome for Purdue going up against LSU. The Tigers were able to keep their secondary intact, and I think that's massive. Purdue's going to want to still throw the ball, even without the receivers there, even without Aiden O'Connell. That's a passing team. They're going to want to throw the ball. LSU's a little thin up front, as we said, so maybe they do try to run it a little bit more. But keeping your secondary intact was huge for LSU, and I think that definitely contributes to carrying them to a victory over Purdue. Get that 10th win, send it off, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Matt will be back on Tuesday as well to talk about it, put a button on the season, kind of the post-mortem, and turn focus to the offseason. And it's going to be one filled with expectation, one filled with excitement, LSU in 2023. And look, it'll be here. It'll be here before you know it. This one went by fast. It was filled with ups and downs and a lot of excitement. Hopefully the next one is as well, as you got plenty returning. That's going to do it for us here on After Further Review. That's going to do it for us here on After Further Review in 2022. Wish you a happy, a healthy new year. Enjoy Saturday night. Enjoy Monday. And be back here on Tuesday ready to talk with Matt, because he'll be back. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in 2023.
AFR.
Remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. Get on by, test drive any of their line of vehicles over at South Point. Remember, I tell you all the time, 9 different IIHS top safety picks. It's the highest safety designation a vehicle can get. It's one of the reasons I love driving my Volkswagen, is I know every time I put Drew in his car seat and I'm driving, I'm in one of the safest vehicles on the road. Erica drives a Volkswagen. Every time she leaves the house in her car, I know she's driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. And by the way, they're stylish and affordable and fun to drive. It's at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, the all-electric, first electric SUV for everyone, the Volkswagen ID4. You can make your reservation right now at southpointvw.com. It's South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?